Let me out, let me out, I'm so alive. Let me out, let me out, let me out, let me out, I'm so alive. Let me out, let me out, so alive.
Inside Stone's Gambling Hall in Sacramento, California, you'll find Sammy's Restaurant and Bar. Recognized for its innovative, healthy global cuisine, Sammy's offers menu selections made with local, organic ingredients. indulgent options like truffle fries, duck tacos, artisan wood-fired pizzas, fresh salads, and more, along with an eclectic selection of craft beers and classic handcrafted cocktails. Plus, with 40 big screen TVs, Sammy's is also the perfect place to catch your favorite game. Satisfy your craving anytime, 24/7, tableside or in the dining room at Sammy's Restaurant and Bar at Stone's Gambling Hall.
66 already at it.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Stones Live Poker. I'm Jake Rosensteel, here with my co-host,
Justin Kelly.
and we're ready to crush.
Absolutely, I'm ready for this game.
This is going to be a lot of fun.
I'm ready.
So, for those of you who've never been to Stone's Gambling Hall, all the games at Stone's, aside from the 1-2, they play table stakes. So they play pretty deep. So and the game started out, they have a range of buy-ins, whatever like that. And then anything after that, you can buy in for up to the biggest stack. So tonight, for everyone out there in TV land, or Twitch land, whatever.
TV Land works. We'll
TV
go with
land
it.
works. We've got 1-3, which at Stone's can be an absolute mess, and it's beautiful.
Oh yeah, no, we've seen
Yeah.
people leave with thousands in a 1-3 game.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, for sure.
So 1-3 at Stone's is, I believe, a 60 to 500 buy-in to start the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, from the game first starts, you can buy up to 500 deep in a 1-3, which is awesome.
Yeah, which is already
And
huge.
then after that, like all the games here at Stone's, they play table stakes.
Yeah.
So it's not uncommon to get a 1-3 game here at Stone's that'll get 10, 15. We've had 1-3 games at 20K deep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you get guys who just come to the game and they're like, okay, what's everybody have? They check out everybody's stacks. You're like, okay, I'll buy in for 1,000. I'll buy in for 1,500. And you're sitting there with a couple hundred in front of you. You're like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
This is bad.
Reload. Yeah, it's the next thing you know, I mean, the game gets like super deep, and at that point, the blinds become irrelevant. And I mean, you'll see, 1-3 with a $25 straddle. I think
Yeah.
I posted the other night. I was playing in a 1-3 game, and Frank sits down. Of course, the next thing it's 1-3-25.
Yeah, 1-3-25. There's a game for you.
Yeah.
Come on down. I'm gonna play the 1-3-25.
Yeah, you guys, wait, your card room doesn't have that.
Yeah, that's weird.
Awkward.
Weird.
Yeah. Really fun. Participant for tonight, Big Jake won the Stone Survivor Series, got to play in the main event.
Yes.
May day 2. He caught a sick cooler at the very end of day 1, so he came into day 2 a little short stacked. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to run it up, but we got Big Jake back. He's here in seat 5 for us, and he's ready to crush some souls. Also back is Mike Postle. We saw make a sick fold in the Monday game where, he rivered the bottom end of the straight, had a player lead into him. Flats, Casey, who also tonight is back right behind in the same
Right
seats.
there in seat 2. One and two, right
you
there.
see Mike in seat 1, Casey in seat 2. Same spots for these guys. Casey right behind him makes a big end of the straight.
Yeah.
Pops it, and Mike makes a wizard fold that only maybe Mike Postle and a few others can make.
And guys, it was a super disguised straight. It was like a runner, like perfect straight. It wasn't an obvious one by any means.
Yeah,
you
the
know?
board came down Queen 8 Deuce, and Leo, who watches our stream from Malaysia, came here
Yeah.
to play. Flopped bottom 2, had 8 Deuce, and on Queen 8 Deuce.
And went running like 6-7 or something,
Running
right?
6-7, yeah. Mike had the 5-4.
Yeah.
Casey had the 9-10. The board gets there, and Casey and Mike end up, and with Leo too in this like smash up pot,
Yeah.
where it's like 2 pair versus bottom straight versus big straight, and Mike Postle loses the absolute minimum.
Oh, super minimum.
Yeah.
Super minimum. I mean, everybody's like, okay, well, Apostle gets stacked here. That sucks. And he laid it down. It was money. It was great to watch.
Such a wizard. I feel bad for the guy that he runs like Forrest Gump's leg braces never came off. But
Yeah,
I mean,
it's good. It's good.
Right.
And then we also have a couple Stones regulars in here. You'll notice Rebecca. We got T there. We have it's great. We got a few employees in the game. We got a few regs in the game. This is gonna be a lot of fun. A lot of fun tonight.
So we already talked about Mike and Casey in seat 1 and 2. In seat 3, we have Batman.
Oh, Batman. Classic Batman. Clearly in his Bruce Wayne disguise. So
Yeah,
you don't see him tonight.
God,
You know.
we just pull his cover.
No, I'm sorry. I mean, that is clearly Bruce Wayne there in seat 3. We did not
Bruce
see
Wayne
anything.
in seat 3. T, one of the Stones employees, that's playing in this game. You might remember T from the. He also played in the Survivor Series with us. Stats. Mike's got about 850 in front of him. Casey's got about 650. This is 1-3. Batman's got about 1100 in front of him. So you can already see how much deeper this game plays than your, the 1-2 or 1-3 game that you might be used to at your local card.
Of course. I mean, half the players already have over $1,000, and it's
Yeah.
a 1-3 game, guys. It's not like everybody's sitting down with $300 and trying to double up. I mean, like, this is a big game.
It's fun. T's got about 1,000 in front of him. Big Jake we talked about for a little while. The graphic says Jake's got 450 in front of him. I can see Jake's got about $1,000 right
Yeah,
there.
definitely at least double that, for sure.
Yeah. Rebecca, right behind him. Rebecca's solid. She's another employee, works here at Stones. She's a prop player.
She's also a dealer, yeah.
She is living the poker life, so to speak. Rebecca's got 5.25 in front of her. Jeff, who we've had on the stream once before, ran just god awful terrible. I'm hoping
Huge Sacramento regular.
Yeah. If you don't know Jeff, you don't know playing poker.
Yeah, you haven't been around Sacramento for sure. I mean, you've seen him everywhere.
Jeff's got about 1,000 in front of him. We got a hand developing here. Sorry, we're on the lineup after the hand. Jake makes it 17 to go with queens under the gun. Mike makes a call out of cutoff with ace-7 off. And 8-4 deuce.
8-4 deuce, super nothing for no one here. Queen still way ahead. $40 in the pot here. It's like Jake may have injured his hand, but that's not going to affect his ability to bet here. He's going to fire it out, and Mike is gone.
Jake leading the table in muscles. We got Chris right behind him in seat 8. He's got about 400 in front of him. And Shilu, sitting on the short stack, got about $100 in front of her right now. Probably going to reload soon. So yeah, for those of you who don't play or think some of the smaller stakes is going to be a thinner game, come on down to Stone's Gambling Hall. And get ready to barrel.
Well, that's what I love. I feel like with these games you get a lot of minimal risk for maximum gain. You know what I mean? Like you can sit down with a few $100 and like, okay, if you lose, you lose. But if you win, your upside potential is huge. You can double up, triple up, double up, double up.
Yeah.
Any of those combinations, and all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, I bought him for $300 and I cashed out $1,000.
Yeah.
And life was good. And it took me like 2 hours and I got a free dinner. Good talk. I'll see you out there. You know what I mean?
How good is life?
Yeah, I'll take it. I will totally take it. Now, I missed it there. We're looking back. Rick and Barstow actually said that Leo, the night after our stream on Monday, actually went down and played at the Bike in LA. So he's just making the California
Leo's on the
tour.
California swing,
Straight from Malaysia to like touring California. I love it. I respect it. I hope we see Leo again.
Leo
Super
via
good guy,
Brazil
great
by
player.
way of Malaysia.
By way of Malaysia.
Playing all the California live streams. I love it.
Hopped in a canoe, and it was a long paddling experience, but I got here, and that's what matters.
Batman makes it 13 to go on the button.
I hate Jaeger, but
Gets calls from T and Shilu.
Wow, we got some action here. You know, that action reminds me of the fact that we still haven't hit a bad beat in the live stream, and I'm gonna keep mentioning it until we do it, because dang it, we're gonna do it. We're gonna freaking do it soon enough, man. That's gonna happen. That's going down.
5-7 threes are flop. T's got the Jack-6 of clubs. He's gonna like to lead out here. He feels that this flop's gonna miss Batman most of the time, which it does. As it is, T's got an inside straight draw and backdoor clubs, and I think it's a good lead. Another way you can play that hand is a check raise. Either way, I like the aggression from T.
Yeah, you know what I love about T? T is such a beast, and T is a regular dealer here at Stones. And you know, he's super calm, he's super collected, he's very unassuming. He's just like your typical guy, hops in the box, deals the table, hangs out. You know, he's a good time. But at the end of the day, I mean, you get him at a table. I mean, even in the employee game, you know, T sat down. And he's like, all right, well, we're just gonna have a dealer's choice employee game. Like, let me buy him for a couple racks. Let me buy him for a couple thousand. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, oh wow, I didn't know you rolled like that, T. You know, I mean, he's all about hanging out, playing the game, loves the game. Huge passion.
Barrels.
I love to watch it. I love to watch him play.
T's in the game, it's a good game. Rick and Barstow, Pug 66. Aramy's dog, what's up, guys?
Right on, Waprai, what's going on, buddy?
Mustache 707.
Mustache 707. And shout out to Mustache with the actual mustache. We'll take it. Take it. I actually stole this from Seth and Sarah's birthday party. So
happy birthday, Seth and Sarah.
Happy birthday. Shout out to Seth and Sarah, both dealers here at Stones. They're having a fun little barbecue birthday party, so I hope they're
Where's
enjoying
sobriety's
themselves. Sobriety's very optional there. In fact, it's highly not recommended. It's just saying. Uber is your friend. We got Phil there, action dealer in the dealer box. In seat 0, we like to call it.
Phil's actually, I feel like of all the dealers, employees here that work here at Stones, Phil, as Veronica likes to point out, he's one of the better players as well.
Oh, he's super solid. Every time I see Phil in a tournament, I say, hey, what's up, Phil? And then, like, I'll play here for a couple hours, and I'll keep looking over, and Phil's still in it. Phil always goes deep in these tournaments, man.
Yeah.
I mean, he does not mess around.
I think it seems like, I feel like, he prefers tournament poker over cash game poker. Which, I mean, I personally do as well. I love cash games. For me, fund my tournament habits.
Yeah, of course, right? I'll take it. I feel like you're breaking even on a secondary hobby, and I'll allow that all day.
Yeah. But yeah, Phil likes to make some pretty deep runs here in tournaments.
It's true. We have, looks like, race to 15 here. Batman / Bruce Wayne's going to make the call. So Casey's 5 3 of hearts here, heads up against Ace 10 of spades, and 7 Queen 7 on the flop. No help to anybody. Batman's still going to lead it, but that's not going to stop Casey from firing out and then showing him what's up here. 25 is the bet into a $34 pot.
So on boards like this, on Queen 7-7, it misses your opponent a lot of times.
So often.
It's either, but at the same time, it's kind of hard because you're really not repping much. I mean, you're kind of saying, okay, I have a queen or I have an overpair. Other than that, it's all kind of air.
Yeah.
But that said, like I said, you're kind of just betting on the fact that your opponent misses well. And so when you're sitting there with Casey, 5 high, you're gonna c-bet.
I mean, these stacks is awesome, man. Just look at these stacks. I mean, you got 5 players with basically a grand plus. And then the other guys aren't even that far behind, 800, 700. You got a few short stacks, but other than that, I mean, this is a pretty solidly deep 1-3 game here. And guys, if you are in the industry at all, tonight's industry night actually at Stone, so come on down, have a couple cocktails, hang out with all of your fellow fun friends. We will be here, we'll be hanging out after the stream, so come on down, shake some hands, get some autographs. I know you're here for Jake's autograph, but yeah, come on down.
Barrels.
It's barrels.
Action folds around the Batman, who's going to open up the hand with King Jack off. Makes it 13 to go. Gets through.
Gets through. Taking it down. It's not cheap being Batman. All those wonderful toys? They cost a lot of money. They're not cheap. Rick and Barstow, you should come flash to the booth, man. You'd be one of many. One of many. You'd probably be the best, but still one of many.
It's funny, I'm like, kind of like loosely remembering, not remembering right now, or recalling, I should say. Is there another play that goes by Batman here?
I want to say that we've had a Batman on the stream before, and I don't know if it might have been him. It might have also been him. I'm not sure. But maybe that's part of the disguise, right? If multiple people go by Batman, you never know who the real one is, so you can't exactly capture him when he's unsuspecting. It's all part of the con, and I respect it.
Yeah. I'm like,
look at all these holy aces, Batman. We got ace 4 here for Chris, ace 3 for Mike, ace king for Casey. Another king tied up over there with Jake with a king queen.
so it looks like Batman opened under the gun. Or I'm sorry, under the gun +2. And T called right, so I'm sorry, no. So it's Casey raised to 20 under the gun +1. Batman calls 20, as does
Jake. Biggity bam. 5 Jack 8, super rainbow here. Nothing for anybody. Batman's still with the best, but everybody else with all sorts of overs. Any card over Jack is definitely going to counterfeit Batman here pretty quick. No Fear Casey coming out there, getting Batman to fold the best hand. Over to Jake, who's also going to be gone. Casey, what a beast. We saw Casey here the other night in our last stream on Monday night, and Casey racked out fat. Casey racked out, I think he bought in for like $1,000 maybe, or even less.
I think he was in for $1,000.
Yeah, no, I told him, I was like, oh, you bought it for $1,000? I think he was even snickered to like 800 or something like that, like even less, right? And I think he racked out, what, $4,000, $3,000 plus? I mean, huge.
Yeah, 4.
Solid.
4, yeah.
Solid. Either way, solid day for Casey, for sure. Very awesome.
I felt terrible. It was like someone in the chat during the Monday stream asked who I felt or who we felt the best player at the table was, and I was kind of leaning into talking about Mike and how well I think Mike really plays. And I really do. I think Mike has been grinding a lot of games around not just town, but the West Coast and kind of everywhere.
The West Coast is a good
the West Coast
fighter.
of the world. I mean, Mike plays Aruba. He plays everywhere.
Well, depending on where you're at, it's always the West Coast somewhere in the world.
Yeah. But I hope leading into that, I was talking about how great Mike plays all the time, and then unfortunately to exhibit his prowess, I guess you'd say, he has to make a sick fold. I mean, almost I'd rather him to make some sick hero call.
Yeah,
That's good.
yeah.
And see him profit from his play, but. I mean, money you don't lose is the same as money you win.
And dude, so absolutely. And a lot of players, too, who are especially kind of new to poker and just kind of watching it for the first time, who may not necessarily play at this level or play at all themselves, making a super solid fold, God, I mean, it's not going to win you money, but it feels almost as good as making a super solid call and winning a big, you know what I mean? You're just like, yes, I laid down when I was way behind, and 9 out of 10 players would call that or raise that or just lose or get stacked there. And that feels really, really good. Really, really good. Waprai, to answer your question, yes, seat 7 is Jeff Sardell. The one, the only Northern California staple, Jeff Sardell. Yeah,
whether he's famous or infamous, I don't know, but he's Jeff, and
just Jeff, the JJ.
He's been grinding these games for a while. T makes it 15 to go under the gun with Ace Queen.
Oh, and Jeff Mike with 7 ducky.
Mike on the 70s. Or they must be playing the 7 deuce game, or is Mike just...
You know what? I don't even know if they are, but Mike we wouldn't put it past Mike. Mike is just that cool. He loves to needle people with 7 deuce. We'd actually talked about this previously, last night actually. After hours, and he's just like, oh yeah, we have a lot of history with some of these players, and I really like to get spunky sometimes with the 7 deuce and just show them what's up,
T's in a call. He's out of position, but he thinks that Mike might be up to something. And it looks like it might be pricing in Jeff as well. 3G45, what's up? Welcome to the chat.
And this is funny, this is something we talked about too, where, it's just a snowball effect. One player calls, forces the next player to call, and then everybody has to call behind them. So, look at this, everybody with 1 spade here, 3 spades on the flop, jack high. T currently in the lead here with 2 overs and the queen of spades.
$184 in the pot, and it checks to Mike. He was the original aggressor. He's got position. It's going to be hard for anyone to continue this pot without a jack or a big spade in their hand. Now, as it is, T's got the kind of hand he might want to continue with, or at least peel a card if, versus Mike. Definitely if he was in position. The problem for T is that not only is he out of position on this street and all future streets, but he's still got Jeff right behind him, and he has no idea where Jeff's at in his hand. Jeff had flatted his 45 open under the gun. Jeff could have a jack, he could have a very big spade. And it puts T in a really, really rough spot where, T's going to let it go, and I think, it's probably the right play. The way this hand is played out.
Nice. Apostle with the 7 deuce, what a tank. It's funny because I think all these players were in very similar scenarios here, where all these players are just thinking, okay, I have 1 spade.
Yeah.
Do these other guys even have a spade? If it hits, is it totally good? And I think that's even where you have Apostle here, the original aggressor, thinking, okay, obviously I was on a stone cold bluff here with 7 deuce, but I have a spade. I actually have a redraw to suck out on somebody in the event that they don't, or maybe I can just blow them off here, which is what he did. So very, very awesome. Heads up real quick in the chat to 377 May 1 Champ. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the good compliments, the fun words. We always have a good time here at Stones. And as you can see there, we're drinking here. If you look around the outer tables, everybody has cocktails, and we just had a cheers, which is how we do it here in the 1-3 game. I think we always have a good time.
So I guess Mike didn't show his hand, so they're not playing the 7 deuce game.
No.
So Mike just somehow sensing weakness from T, who opens under the gun. Or Mike just kick rocks.
Mike's fearless, dude.
I got position, and I'm Mike.
Yeah. And we talked about this, and who was it? Who was the player right to his left on the Monday game? I forget, but basically he said, Oh, who was it?
Casey.
Oh, was it Casey? Okay, yeah. So he said it was him and Casey and stuff. He's like, yeah, we got a lot of history, and you know, sometimes I like to basically just mess around, and sometimes, you know, we've played games before where me and him sit down and we just create all sorts of action that wasn't even there before, and we say, you know, we do who can bluff the most. So I mean, obviously this is my style right here. So absolutely great. Speaking of fun hands here, look at Jake waking up with kings.
Jake actually put in the live 10 here and wakes up with kings. What a great spot to be in.
Oh, it's very awesome when that works out.
Mike calls and he's absolutely dominated.
Fun little board here. 8, 6, 7, 2 hearts. Jake, although it's all unders, a slightly scary board with 3 of the straight. He does have the king of hearts to continue, and Mike with a whole lot of nada. So I think Jake's c-bet here should be enough to hopefully get Mike to just run away, and I think it's going to be a pretty easy fold here for Mike. Yeah, and he does. And that's what I love about this game. You know, you get Mike under the, you know, just totally re-raising somebody like T under the gun with 7 deuce. Meanwhile, he's just like mucking king queen, because why not? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what I love about it. I mean, you really have to be dynamic in the way that you play, and even though you want to get a little spunky at certain times, you still have to be able to just easily get off a hand.
So Shilu is now picked up, and looks like we're going to be getting a new player here in seat 9. 3G45 asked if Mike usually play higher. He may just do it for shits and gigs. Mike played in the very first Stones live stream, which was our 1025, and Mike is no stranger to stakes higher than that.
Yeah.
Mike's a legend.
Yeah. Very, very awesome.
I mean, he doesn't care, you know, I mean, where the levels are at. If it's poker, he's playing.
Oh, look who's sitting down there in seat 9.
What
Little
else is
Anthony,
new?
Mr.
Anthony.
Ant Doom in the chat room. A little call your mother. Coming into the game. I actually just ran into him here when we got here before the stream started, and he was at the bar having a quick bite. I said, hey, you playing the stream? He's like, I'm on the list. I'm like, oh, you'll get in. I was like, I think this game we're going to get a couple guys all in. We're going to get some guys getting stacked. I think we'll see you in there.
How funny is it, too? I mean, Anthony's always in seat 9, and seat 9 opens.
Yeah. Now, guys, the extra loud table that you hear that we're referring to close to the live stream, in case you didn't know, Stones here is open for private events. So in this particular case, a business basically just hired us to run a couple table tournament for them, and it's just another team building exercise for them. I don't know about you, but if I'm going to work and we're doing a team building exercise and they say, oh, we're going to go play poker at Stones, like, are you kidding me? I'm ready. Let's build a team. I'm ready. It's fantastic.
So everyone tries to limp into the pot, and T says, punish the limpers, makes it 28 to go. There's 25 on top, ace king out of the small blind. Mike and Casey call, and 5, 4, 8, 2 spades is our flop. The thing that T has to worry about is 5, 4, 8 hits a lot of limping hands.
Yeah.
In this spot, I mean, he's fortunate that it missed everyone.
But it's also limping hands that called almost a $30 raise here dry. You know what I mean? So hopefully these guys don't have a 4 or 5 or 8. But again, I mean, come on. Any one of these guys could have a 6, 7, 8, 7, 5, 6. I mean,
Pocket
anyone.
5, 4.
Yeah,
Pocket,
I mean,
I think pocket 7s. I mean,
it is a pretty
where they call.
solid range right in the middle there. But T, no
C-bet,
fear.
take it down.
Taking it down. Beast mode. T also a very avid golfer, actually. I've seen a lot on his Facebook lately about goes up, plays massive golf tournaments, multiple rounds a day. Super, super golfer.
If I'm in that hand versus T, I'd probably flat and raise the turn, just because 5, 4, 8 misses me like every time, and even then out of position, it's hard for him to continue with overpairs once I raise the turn.
But the problem is T's luckier than you, so he'll get 2 running spades,
That's right.
and you lose.
And the ace comes off on the turn, and I'm like, oh, that's the card I'm
You
gonna wreck.
guys forget, so T is a dealer here, and when you're a dealer here, you actually can just be like, hey, all I need is 2 spades, or something very nonchalant like that, and then it just comes spade, spade. So you better watch out, actually, when you're playing against somebody in the industry, because it can get a little rough.
Yeah, my thought process is like 5, 4, 8. That's so missed him in that.
you're like, come on, who you kidding? Who you selling that?
I'm thinking like I can get him off 9s right now. Little flat, little raise the turn. So here we go.
Batman. Making it
16 to go.
Yeah. Jake will make the call with exactly a hand like we were just talking about. A little 5-6 suited action. Enough to snap somebody and cause a little friction.
And Rebecca's gonna fold Jack 9 in the big line.
Where's Paulso making a move with Deuce 7 when you need it right here? Deuce 7 on the flop. Misses everybody.
35 in the pot, and Batman looks like fires at 25 or 20.
Yeah, so Jake had checked over to Batman. and Jake's gonna be gone. Oh yeah. Yeah,
So there we
super
go.
nice, fun little deep 1-3 game.
So Anthony sits down, and this is what we're talking about. It's table stakes here, Stone. So Anthony sits down in a 1-3, and he can immediately buy in for $1,000.
Yeah, why not?
How awesome is that?
Why not? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, who normally goes to a 1-3 game? They're like, oh, I want to go play the 1-3. You know, I brought a few $1,000s because I'm going to start with $1,000. Like, that doesn't happen.
Right.
I sit down with the 1-3 game, I'm like, okay, I brought like 500 maybe. Maybe I'll buy it for 3. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I mean, it's just...
It's so different than like and one of the last streams when the players commented about some of the cap games you see down south. You know, the $40, $60, $100, or even like $500 cap games you see. At the Commerce, 2-5 plays a $200 cap.
Oh my gosh.
So 2-5, you're buying $200 at a time.
And the problem is, sitting down at a new table, that might not be such a big problem. But even then, you're already short. You're going to see a lot of all-in action. But after that, I mean, it's really tough to get any sort of upside potential when you sit down. You can only buy it for 200. Everybody's got a couple thousand in front of them.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? I mean, your move's all in or fold. You're an all in or fold. You're buying into a tourney in like the 10th blind round already.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. You see a lot of smash and grab in poker, which can be a lot of fun. You know, playing with 40 bigs deep. But at the same time, it kind of dumbs down the level of poker that you can play. I mean, not that they say that just because you're playing deeper that you're playing on some higher level think pattern, but you can play and you can make more moves and you can think deep, you can play deeper and you can think deeper when you are deeper.
It's true. Super deep. That was a deep comment in itself.
Man.
All right, Ace. Wow. Okay, Ace 6-4 here. Top pair here for Jake with Ace Queen, and well, look at this. That was a huge turn here for Mike. Mike with Queen Jack of Diamonds turns pair of Queens, also has a diamond draw now.
And it makes top 2 for Jake. And Mike fires right into him. Jake can check back the flop, yes. Did I catch that correctly or no? Sorry. I was BSing. Jake plays back at him. Mike bet leads out 40 and Jake makes it 80 to go. Prices Mike in. 5 comes off. Should be a pretty harmless card here.
Mike got so many outs. He's like, I got the world to catch up, and I'm just kidding.
Check. Jake bets 120. And Mike releases. What a fun turn card.
I love it. Guys, I know Nightbot's needy here, but just go ahead and appease our lovely Nightbot. Click on that heart there in the lower left. Go ahead and subscribe to us, and we will make sure that you get a notification every time that we go live. Always good times. A lot of times, for instance, I won't even just think about, hey, what I'm doing, where I'm at, maybe I'll be on the road. I'll catch a little email notification, and I'm not allowed to actually admit that I may or may not watch this while I'm driving, but sometimes I do. I can at least listen to Jake's lovely voice and let the beard speak. So always good times. Make sure you click down on the heart and subscribe.
Mike under the gun makes it 15 to go with Jack 6 of diamonds. So the very first hand of the last one we had on Monday showed Mike effectively losing his mind with 8-4. We can later find out that Mike actually had Ace Jack in the hand. We had a little glitch and everything reading. So
yeah.
Mike makes it 15 to go under the gun, Jack 6. I'm gonna reserve all judgments.
No, I love it. And I actually talked with Mike about that hand, and it was great because we talked about this. Mike came over to the booth and corrected us, and I made a big joke about how we let everybody know who was watching the stream. Guys, if you're Mike's buddy and you're texting Mike right now, stop. Just stop texting. He really did not have 8 high on a super gutter ball bluff. He actually had top pair, top kicker. I swear he's played this game before once or 500 times, so we're good here. Mike knows what he's doing.
Casey did 3 bets to 45 with 9s. Takes it down pre. On to the next one. I don't know. I don't even know what to think. Maybe Mike did have Jack 6.
He probably did. Mike does what he wants, man. Don't try to control. Don't tell Mike what to do. Batman's about to go put the clincher on that table over there, making too much noise. He's about to go over into the bat suit and let him know what's up.
The clinch on the beer too.
See, he is. Look, he gets up. He's gonna go let him know. Bye, Batman.
He opens up the pot, makes it 13 to go, Ace 9 of hearts.
Jake with aces. Same. A little sneaker here. Let's see what happens. And Casey with 5s.
Folds around to Jeff on the button with 10s. And we've seen an open and a 3-bet in front of him. And Jeff is going to take the aggressive line and put in a 4-bet on the button with 10s. Yeah.
We're going to see that happening. And real quick, to a sidebar to the last hand where we talked about, I'm going to reserve all judgment. Mike probably doesn't have Jack 6. It looks like our team here in the back, our audio video team, is tuning in and saying, yeah, it was a glitch. It was the previous hand. He didn't have Jack 6.
Okay, there we go.
Then again, even if he did, Mike does what he wants, so don't complain.
Wow, so Casey cold, after limping, cold calls 100 with pocket 5s.
Wow, and this is Jake's just super squeeze play here. Gonna pop it out. He's gonna take it up to, looks like 3 and some change maybe.
440 from Big Jake.
Rebecca's like, I don't want to hear any of this. I'm putting on my nice Beats headphones and we're gonna pump some music. So now this is interesting. Yeah. So now this should some alarms should be going off for Casey here. If Jeff got out of the way with 10s, I'm thinking Casey's like, okay, well, with Jake putting this strong, super strong re-raise, I don't obviously know if my 5s are good here. I think Casey's thinking best case scenario, he's at a coin flip with 2 overs. You got to think that you're dominating.
How many players are really 5-betting over cards? You know,
and especially with a hand like 5s, it's not like Casey has 10s, jacks, queens. You know what I mean? It's like, it's
he can't. He either. You fold or shove at this point. I think folding's pretty standard. I'm not in love with Casey calling the 4-bet. What does Casey have behind? It's about 700 behind. He's getting got a pre-flop. He's getting about even money on trying to flop a set. You're gonna flop a set one, and then you're 7.5 to 1 to flop a set. Casey started the hand with a little over 750. So cold calling a 4-bet with a $100 4-bet. You're even money there to flop your set.
Well, that's what he is, and obviously you're not even money to hit a set on the flop. That's for sure. So it's he's way behind.
Once Jake makes it, 440 to go, Casey's pushed out.
I think it's pretty obvious. Seb Black, welcome to the chat room. Thanks for tuning in. Man, I feel like we should also tune the camera over to this other table who's going crazy in this tournament. See what they're doing about. They're going nuts over there.
Tournament poker and cocktails.
That's it.
What a combination.
Done. And that's a team building exercise? You mean I'm getting paid to do this? Get me in here. What company is that? That's fantastic.
How do I fill out an application?
I know.
I'm trying to see some name brand on the shirt. Something.
Daily team building exercises over at Stones Poker Room. Let's do it.
He was trying. Keep it.
T opens up the pot here with 21 to go with pocket 8s.
Look at this Casey. He's blocking his ears. They're so loud. Anthony's just smiling. He's like, I'm really glad I have headphones right now. They are going nutso over there. Maybe we need a table change for them.
Anthony's going to call a 4s out of the small line. And it brings Mike in with King 8 in the big.
Boom, ace, jack, 9, 2 diamonds, whole lot of nada for everybody here. Anthony with 4s, T's still with his 8s being the best.
So T's going to go ahead and put in the C-bet here, make 35 to go. If T can ever get anyone to fold the jack in that spot, that's a great C-bet. You can get someone to fold jacks, 9s, 10s. It's a good C-bet.
Man, that's great when even our shortest stack at the 1-3 game still has 400. Like the absolute shortest stack still has $400.
And I love it. I love Rebecca, so I can needle her. Rebecca's got her poker player starter kit headphones on, the Beats by Trek.
No, but she doesn't have basically the whole hoodie on. She doesn't have the glasses, so it's fine. She's still manageable at this point. She's not super crazy.
The WSOP or poker starter shirt, go with it. The whole poker player starter kit.
Well, my funny thing is that when you get a player who's fully decked out like that, like they're making life or death multi-million-dollar decisions, and they're playing a 3-6 limit game. You know, and they're like, oh, I just don't know if I can call that other $6 check raise. You know, it's like, it's a little rough.
Big bets matter.
Yeah, it's true. We got Postle over here with 6 deuce of diamonds. Casey with ace 10. Anthony putting the original raise with queen 5 of spades. To the flop, jack 4, 6. And nada here. A little 6 for Mike there is going to give him the best hand currently.
So it's funny. I mean, going back to our money string, we have Anthony in seat 9, Mike in seat 1, Casey in seat 2. Same spot. So I mean, have these guys stopped playing poker? I mean, since then, really?
Yeah. They play poker.
Do they ever? The life of a grinder.
I mean, aren't you always technically playing poker? Like, doesn't even in life. Just do it.
I engaged a friend discussing whether or not I would teach my kids poker, and I'm like, why not? There's so many good, life lesson things that you can draw from poker, and cross over into or outside of the game, I should say. Initially, I was kind of reserved about it. But
I think, in a way, whether you're teaching them the game or not, I think they're going to want to learn it themselves, because every time you take your kids, like, let's say, toy shopping, when you happen to do a Snapchat in the back, you're like, who's the best father ever? And they're like, you. And then you're just like, and what else? And they're literally, I mean, how old are your kids?
6 and 8.
And they're both like, hashtag poker pays. Like, they're already knowing, like, hey, if we play poker, we can buy toys, so why would I not want to play poker?
I'm
Dad.
brainwashing my children.
And then when they come at you like, we want to learn poker, you really can't ask why, because it's all your fault. So
I just realized, they've associated with Daddy plays poker, kids get toys. Or we go on trips and vacations.
I grew up on dirt bikes, and when I finally came to my folks and asked them for a street bike, they were like, but why? And I'm like, you guys raised me on dirt bikes. You had to see this coming.
Right.
This is like the natural progression here.
Pocket 9s for Batman in the big blind. T's got 8-7 off. Can't see Jeff's cards. He's got them off the reader right now. Queen, Jack, 6, 2 spades. As far as we can see, Batman still got the best of it. He doesn't like those 2 overs. He check folds. T's also out of the way. And Jeff, a little bit of Sacramento legend, drags a pot.
A little bit of legend mixed in there. A little legend in the pot.
Yeah, Jeff's seen it all when it comes to Sacramento poker.
Oh yeah.
Knows everybody, seen it all.
It's true.
He probably changed JT Train's diapers. I have no
Well,
idea.
the money is Jeff's one of those guys where he sits at the table and he looks around and he's just like, I've played with every single person here every time. Like, no matter what table he sits at, he's like, oh yeah, I know you, I know you, I know you. Brett MKAL, welcome to the chat room.
Suited aces. What's up, kids?
When you said suited aces, honestly, I was looking at the hands. I'm like, who has suited aces? These graphics better be wrong right now. Please, sir, no gang signs in the booth. No throwing up gang signs.
No throwing up gang signs.
Calm down.
It's frowned upon.
Yeah. Next time, we're going to have our team blur that out.
We'll have to change the whole show to like post-production. It's going to be a mess.
It's going to be hot mess. Trust me, you guys want us live. It's fun. We get a few things under the radar that nobody knows about. Waffle Roo, welcome to the chat. Jeff's checking out, Chris checks out, Anthony go. Mr. Postle, he's checking out as well.
Casey puts in raise, makes it 13 to go with Jack 8 off. T, 5-4 out of the small blind and out of position.
Makes the call.
Says yes.
She says yes. She said yes.
He said yes.
Oh, look at T. You're
Happy
such a
birthday
beast.
to T.
T flops the stone cold nuts with the redraw to the straight flush. It looks like it was check.
Hits the flush on the turn. T actually hates that card.
Yeah, T hates it.
His hand improves, but it got worse.
Oh man, so of course he checks behind, a little scared there, and just rando blank there on the river. And he bets 10, he calls. Casey looks at it like, oh wow, okay, you had me just murdered all the way.
And Casey hits the jack on the turn as well.
I was gonna say the thing about that is that the jack on the turn is the only thing that got him, and I think honestly, It's so sad, but I think T actually extracted maximum value there by betting 10. I mean, come on, Casey's not going to call anything more than that. You know what I mean? It's just like, okay, hey, Casey just should have said, you know what? Just buy me a drink and fold. You shouldn't even have bet the $10. Just buy me a drink, tip your waitress, and fold, because you're toast.
Killer Beast, what's going on? Wandao. I'm saying everything wrong. Killer Beast, that's what the buy-in is. This is 1-3 no limit hold'em. So when the game kicks off, it is a $60 to $500 max buy-in, but it's table stakes after that. So everyone right now is playing pretty deep. See a lot of people with right around 1K stacks. Anthony, who just sat down on our game, he bought in $4,000 because, well, you can in this joint. So Casey, 9-8 of spades, minutes 12 to go. Batman calls right behind him, Queen 10 of diamonds. T loves his position and he'll tolerate his hand.
And Rebecca makes a call as well. We're going to see Rebecca in a pot here. 8, ace, 3, 2 clubs.
First flyer takes down the pot.
It's true. Well, Casey here with middle pair with an 8, currently with the best of it.
It should check through most of the time, and it does.
Shy Pit 1, yes, this is absolutely real money. And this is a real time, as close as we can get it here. You're about 20, 25 minutes behind. Obviously, so your buddy can't text your other buddy saying, hey, he has aces, fold.
Yeah.
But yeah, but we are commentating here and chatting with you here in the chat room real time.
Or the way my buddies would do it. Like, he has aces, he should call it. It's going to stack
He has aces, yeah. I'm going to text him. I swear he doesn't have aces. Wink, wink, hint, hint.
So, interesting move here. Casey bets 35 with his pair of 8s, and Batman pops it to 100 and change
Takes
on
it
his turn pair of
down.
queens. Interesting bet, interesting raise there by both players.
Yeah, because Batman was like, you know what I'm going to do right here? I'm going to get some justice.
If I'm Casey, I'd almost rather like check call there, because I think maybe you can get value from a turn Broadway draw, trying to just pick up the pot. I think check folding's fine too. It's almost as if Casey's turning a little bit of showdown value he has there into a bluff. And then Batman raising there with the turn pair of queens. I mean, no bet. I mean, Casey was the original raiser, and to multiple opponents, and there was a club draw out there. Rationale would say that Casey, if he had an ace, would have bet the flop to get value from flush draws.
Killer Beast asks, how much does position factor in cash game as opposed to tourney? I'll tell you what, I mean, position. I don't care if you're playing cash, I don't care if you're
Doesn't
playing
matter.
tourney. Super huge. I mean, I think that there is many scenarios that we're probably going to see, I mean, at least multiple times tonight, where some player's going to have a hand where they're not quite sure where they're at maybe, and if they're in position, they're much more apt to get froggy with it and maybe float or call or raise, whereas if they're out of position, they know they're going to be out of position every single betting round after the initial betting round, and it's just rough, man. I mean, position, all the way plays a huge factor, all the way around. Cash, tournament, or otherwise, I don't care what you're doing. I don't care if you're playing Rummy or Old Maid or a game of Hearts at home. Position.
OFC, same thing, the
Position. If you know your player's going to tilt, just play the safe one and go for it.
Anthony bets 45. Casey's going to float with the ace jack. The 10-5 deuce is going to miss Anthony a lot of times. And Casey should have a 10. A lot of times he also could have some spades. He got what he wanted, is that Anthony to check the turn, so now he can try to take this thing away here. 133 in the pot, and Casey's reaching for chips.
And this is one of those things where if the situation is reversed, just we're going to talk about position, and Anthony's in position with 9s, it's much easier for him to make a call or make a raise or make a bet, whereas acting out first here into Casey without knowing what he has, it's very difficult. It kind of puts you in a funky position. It looks like he's going to go ahead and make the call anyways.
He's going to call with the intention of probably folding. Now, the river card's the worst card for him. It's a spade, it's another overcard. It hits Casey.
But the fact that it also completes spades may or may not actually save Anthony a few bucks.
Yes.
If he can possibly put Casey on completing spades.
If it was a red jack,
Yeah.
I mean, Anthony, because when Anthony check calls with 9s there on a 10 high board, he's thinking that Casey's going to have some spade draws. a reasonable amount of time. He also might have a hand like 5-6,
Yeah.
where he might have called in case Anthony had like ace queen, ace king, ace jack, and missed.
And Casey's clearly betting for value here too, obviously, because I don't think that Anthony's gonna draw for a flush and make the flush and then check it over to him on the river right here. So I think that
Right.
Casey's clearly betting for some value here.
And if
And again,
Wow, Anthony's
let's
gonna call.
go straight back to position, right? And that's the thing. It looks like Casey's just betting. Okay, I'm just gonna maybe hopefully represent a flush here, and he gets Anthony to make the call.
I'm not in love with the call. What I love Casey betting there. A lot of players when they make a move, like that, where they float and then try to steal it, and then they river their hand and get lucky. A lot of players decide to check back there. We just got flashed.
Always.
Like people think we're joking.
I mean, even people, of high stature here, in nice outfits, possibly wearing suits, possibly in the chat room, come up and flash us. It's remarkable.
But like a lot of players, they make a move and it doesn't work out. Like Anthony called with 9s. Correct me, mind you, he was actually ahead there. And then they get lucky on the river, and they river some, in that hand would have been, an ace or jack, rivers, some semblance of showdown value, and what's likely to be the best hand, and they decide to check back. And I like Casey, going ahead and going for value there. He realized that Casey, like you, as you pointed out, it's unlikely that Anthony's going to check spades to him the way the hand is played.
Yeah.
And so that ace jack there's probably going to be good, and Casey goes for a little bit of value. I love it. And it's an ambitious call by Anthony. I think he can beat, like I said, if Casey had floated him with a hand or had called him with a hand like 5-6, something like that, where he thinks, okay, well, sometimes, Anthony's gonna have, ace queen, ace jack, ace king there, and have Aaron, my pair of 5s might actually be good.
Yeah.
I don't think he's gonna be betting the river a whole lot of the time.
Yeah. Totally agree here.
Or, you can, on the other side of that, Casey might be, and is good enough to turn a pair of 5s and do a bluff there, though. That's a question that that's something that maybe Anthony was thinking there, where Casey might think after he check calls the turn that he's got a pair of 5s beat, and he might turn his hand in, or he might bluff the river. So, kind of a fun little hand there. A lot to overthink, which, if anyone knows me, I love to do from time to time.
You overthink? You overanalyze? No. Never.
Ship it 1 asks why bet when you have showdown value. For the reason being that you feel like they have the best hand. If you're referring to Casey's hand, that's what we talk about. The way the hand is played, and you can't beat Jack 10, but other than that, unless you think that Anthony checked Queens plus, for pot control on the turn, which would be ridiculous because you can get value from a 10's not folding, spades aren't folding. So if Anthony had Queens plus, he's going to be betting the turn, so you can kind of take that out of his range. So for the most part, he's going to have pairs under the 10, things like that. He might have some worse 10. So on the river, when the river comes to Jack, unless Anthony specifically has Jack 10, your ace Jack is going to be ahead. An overwhelming percentage of the time, and so value betting there, I think, is pretty standard for any kind of player who's on a thinking level about poker. I might have rambled there a little bit.
I was just gonna let you go. This is a no judgment zone here. If you get out of line, I'm just gonna.
This is our safe zone.
This is the trust tree, the nest. Are we not in it? No. If you get out of line, I'm just gonna have Batman come check you here. Huge turn here for Mike.
Wow, and it gives Batman an inside straight draw as well.
All sorts of fun stuff here. So Mike turns 2 pair against Batman's 8s. So Batman's still actually drawing to a 7 or an 8. Or as sick as it is, he can actually pick up a 9 or a queen to pair the board and counterfeit Mike's bottom 2 pair here for a higher 2 pair. And that is gonna be bingo bango for Batman here. Spikes an 8. Also puts a 4 card straight on the board. So when doing so, I think when he raises here, which I think we're possibly gonna see, or maybe flats, because it might slow him down because there's a 4 card straight there. But if he does raise, it's definitely gonna slow down Mike Postle over here because it's a 4 card straight. It completes a lot of things here.
Well, I think if Batman raises here, I think Mike would fold the queen. We know Mike doesn't have a queen. Mike's got 2 pair, but I think Mike would fold most of his queens here.
Yeah.
I think though Mike will probably look to check call most of his queens. So raising here, there's not a whole lot of hands that are going to call you. So even though you're pretty confident, that you have the best hand, I think flatting's fine. the hardest one is it's gonna be finding a hand that is gonna call your raise here. If Mike's leading 8 with a 7, then you're in a really bad spot. I think all the one pair hands fold. As it is, Mike, we're always seeing here being put to the test. Mike's never got it easy. I mean, here you go. Mike's got 2 pair, bottom 2, on a board that's 4 cards to a straight, where he just got raised on the river. And here we see again the discipline of Mike Bossel.
And that's it. I mean, there it is. I mean, he got out of there, and like exactly what we thought. We said, you know what? I mean, because that board could do one or two things. It could either slow down Batman, which it didn't, and in which particular case, it's definitely going to slow down Bossel, right? I mean, he completes a 4-card straight. So many hands there are going to have a pair and a random kicker that can complete that straight draw. You know what I mean? And they're going to be gone. They're going to have it, and you just got to.
The 6-7, the 8-7, and all of it in the 5-7. Yeah. 9-7. So ship at 1. So his line is Betfold River. Maybe I misunderstood a question earlier in the chat box about why value bet, or I might have interjected into a private conversation there, which I do from time to time.
You?
Yeah. Ship at 1 says, yes, why bet when you have showdown value? If you were referring earlier, when you asked, why bet when you have showdown value, if you're referring to Casey, I'm not Casey, I'm sorry, Anthony in that hand, I wasn't, whenever advocate Anthony leading 9s there on that river. As it was, he didn't. Batman large open there, 35 pre-wow. So
just for the record, Batman can do what he wants because he's Batman.
He's Batman.
Okay.
Right.
So in case you're
Rules
curious.
are there are no rules.
Yeah, for sure. It's Batman, dude. Come on.
So as far as his line being Betfold River, no. When you're there and Anthony's spot with 9s in that previous hand, no, I think Betfold River, because it's hard to get value from worse. I mean, because busted spades are never calling. A 10 B2, so there's no point in betting. You can check fold or you can check call and catch bluffs, which is pretty much what Anthony did in that hand. Is he tried to catch busted spades, he didn't do that because the river was the jack spades. Yeah, so like I said, there was, and that was me what a little bit surprised about Anthony's call in that hand was his spades got there too. So he came to 10, came to spades.
Yeah, it's rough. Yeah, exactly. I mean, and those things. I mean,
it's a little ambitious.
A lot of times you're going to get those cards that just slow people down, even if nobody hits the hand.
Yeah.
It's just going to slow down the best hand. It's going to slow down the guy calling. It's just going to slow everything down as a whole.
You're almost specifically putting your opponent on one hand on the 5-6, and determining that he's going to decide that he's going to turn his hand into a bluff there.
So ace 6-10 here to the flop, 2 hearts. Nobody with a heart. Batman does, however, have a monster little gut shot there, and he is going to fire, and he is uncontested. Mike is not going to look him up.
3G45 says it has to be easier to fold there when you see it 25 minutes later. That's another great point is analyzing yourself. For you guys who haven't played yet on this live stream and want to come through, we saw Leo come through from Malaysia via Brazil, from Brazil via Malaysia.
Love it.
To play on the stream.
Yeah.
You can go back and analyze yourself.
Yeah.
And it can do a lot for your game.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as you're not opposed to constructive criticism at times, and and we're wrong about stuff all the time,
you have to be. I mean, I think everybody knows in poker you have to always be learning. You have to always be basically saying, okay, what did I do? How could I do it better? How could I do it differently?
How can I constantly trying to improve? Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so at the end of the day, I think if you're not open to taking constructive criticism, if you think you know it all, you might not want to be playing poker.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's a constant learning game.
Yeah, especially because it's a game that's constantly changing. It's not it's not like chess has a fixed set of rules and fixed set of moves. And
I mean, technically, sure, we have a fixed set of rules, but the overall way the game is played,
there's too many variables.
The players that you play with, the stack sizes, the blinds. I mean, everything encounters it. Every little thing encounters into this, right? So it's like you always have to be observing, you always have to be watching, always have to be learning, and you always have to be adapting.
Yeah, and because strategies are always changing.
Yeah.
I mean, 10, 20 years ago, you would have never definitely, in 10 years ago, let alone 20 years ago, you would have never saw someone min raise in a tournament. The common strategy was raising 3x plus. In tournaments. Now we see everyone's kind of reduce that to 2x, 2.1x, 2.5x tops, and just because the game has evolved, and so when you crunch the math and realize that you're extracting more value by raising more hands and raising smaller. And then and then the games will shift back the other way. We've gone back and forth talking about donk betting in this game and leading at the razor, and there's spots where it's actually good and not all bad. I still feel that mostly it's bad, but there's spots where it is good. It is good to lead. We saw that in the Western Senior Poker Series. I made a comment on that where Al Alm, who ended up taking first place in the event, he flopped on 8, 9, 10, flopped with Queen Jack, flops in that straight, and leads right into the original razor. And when we talk about where in that hand where that's going to get that hand or that board smacks the big blind defense range so hard that's going to get checked back oftentimes, and so you lose value by not leading in there.
Yeah.
So in a game like I said that's constantly evolving, constantly changing, you have to always be trying to improve.
So I think Suited Aces here makes a fun little joke. Says, how do I learn to stop running my king into ace-ace? Well, if there's suited aces, then I would just talk to the floor man because clearly that person is cheating. So I would look at that here. Fun little board, 4, 5, 6 Bruin. Anthony flopped a pair with a straight draw. T with a gut shot on the high end. Mike with a gut shot on the low end. Nobody hits anything here. Deuce on the turn is actually just going to give Mike a pair of deuces. But Anthony's still way ahead here with his 5 and his open-ended.
Anthony's crushing this board. What's good about this board is Anthony can accomplish a couple things here. I mean, now any 3 makes a straight. So I might change Anthony's mind about raising.
It's going to make the call. Heads up. Boom, there's the 3. Now, this is going to be fun for Anthony here. So, straight on the board. Now, a lot of times what you see, and no possible flush, a lot of times what you see in this particular scenario is, a lot of players think, okay, man, we both missed it. We're both going to hopefully chop. So you might see a player betting to try to, take away the pot for the chop. In this particular case, if Anthony were to disguise his hand like that, it's very possible. But unfortunately for T, that's what T is doing. Is T is trying to disguise having the 7, hoping that Anthony does not, but Anthony does. So I think we're just going to see maybe what do you think? We're going to see a flag call or we're going to see a raise here from Anthony?
Anthony's raising.
He's a raise. He's a California raising here. We're going to find out. So 120 and Anthony says, I don't think so. It's going to make it looks like 330, something like that. And now the funny thing about this is we know that Anthony has a 7 because we can see it. Right? But Anthony is a player, and T knows this, is a player who's very capable of making this move with complete air.
Doing the same thing that T's doing.
With ace high.
With his trying to get someone off a chop.
And because of that, and the problem is that because of that, it puts T in this funky spot where, man, do you really have it? But also, it puts him in this really awkward position where you have to call for a chop.
Yeah, his best case scenario, if he's right here, he doesn't win. I mean, you don't get really get rewarded if you're right here. You just you get your money back.
Yeah, and he does, and there you go, he's gone. And he makes a great laydown. And yeah, like you said before, I mean, that's the rough part, is that Anthony puts him in that really awkward spot where calling the chop just sucks.
It does.
You have to make a hero call to get your own money back. You know what I mean? It's brutal.
Good fold by T, good raise by Anthony. Well played.
I had a better hand than you think I had.
Look at Anthony said, I bet I had a better hand than you think. I love it. I love the table talk.
So had the deuce not come off on the turn, Anthony actually would have had an option to maybe kind of put in a combo bet raise where you can actually get better hands to fold. I mean, on the way that hand played on the flop, it would have been really hard. And get worse hands to call. So in the sense that Anthony had a pair and a straight draw, and so no one's going to fold the 7 for the same straight draws. You can raise there, and the 7's going to call you. But you might actually get a pair, like a pair of 6s, to go away.
Oh yeah.
So a raise in the turn I think would have been an option for Anthony had the deuce not come off. I think flatting's fine, probably the more standard line. But had the deuce not come off, where 8-3 completes it, where you're not going to get a 3 off ever. you can probably, I think, almost raise there and get a 6 to fold, but at the same time keep all the 7s in. So I mean, in case someone's at the same draw as you, you're free rolling, but you're free rolling with a pair. Where if you both miss, your little pair of 5s, oops, he wins the pot.
Yeah. Now we have a question here actually. Check out from Ben from work. So there you go. Check it out. He's talking about making a hero call with ace high when he noticed a player was constantly just betting with flush draws. And his question is, even though he had a strong read, is a hero call ever correct?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. The answer, guys, the official Jake answer is, oh yeah. Now look at this funny. This pot, everybody had air. Both players had ace high, and they river the ace. So both players are thinking, okay, I just kind of snapped each other off here on the river. So we're gonna see what happens.
And Mike's got a snap call here, and he's gonna hate it. And as soon as he sees the ace, he knows he's dead. So sick. I heroed a guy with king high the other day.
Yeah, I know. I saw all that. And you were like,
Snapchatted it.
yeah, you Snapchatted. You're like, oh, and it's good. I'm the man. It's so sick. You know.
Yeah. As if my ego needed any help there.
Well, and we've seen this scenario here in the live stream before, where you get somebody sitting there and they're tanking, and they have 10 high, jack high, queen high, and they're tanking, and it's so easy to instantly jump to the conclusion that they're Hollywooding, but sometimes they're really not. They're thinking they're putting their opponent on like maybe an open-ended with 2 medium cards, like a 6, 7, 8, 9, so, and they miss everything, and they're thinking about calling with 10 high because, heaven forbid, it could be good.
Right?
You know what I mean? So it's, hero calls, there's always a time and a place. Hero calls aren't necessarily a bad thing. If you make a great one, it's always fantastic. Hero call away, guys. If you have a strong read, sometimes you just got to go with it,
And if it, going with your read and being wrong is okay, sometimes, or is fine. Going with your read and being wrong. There's worse than that is not going with your read and where you would have been right.
Yeah.
I know I should have called and I folded and it would have been good. That hurts you a lot more than going with your read sometimes and being wrong about it. I mean, that's fine. You can get over that.
Yeah.
I think that's more easy to get over. Like, okay, well, he had this and I didn't get that. And it's when you know it and you don't go with your guts and your instincts and you dump it and you shouldn't have. I mean, those ones will haunt you.
Oh yeah, and there's been times where literally I looked at somebody, I'm like, God, I have a really, really strong read here, and at the end of the day, I kind of weigh what they're betting, and I literally have to think to myself, is it worth a $500 gamble if my read is wrong? And sometimes I'm like, yeah, it absolutely is, because I really don't think you have it. Then you make that call and you're like, I was right, and I feel like $1 million. And you know what? If you're wrong, so what? On to the next one. It stings a little bit, but you just try to tune your read that much more.
T gives up on triple barreling his busted straight draw. Jeff, pair of kings good.
So Jeff's played this game before once or twice, huh? It's good. He's good. He knows what he's doing.
Someone in the chat asked what a V straddle is. A V straddle is when you straddle and you put your chips in the shape of a V, it's like the flying V.
It's true.
It's beautiful. It was initially in honor of Veronica and
Veronica and Prisoners.
Veronica, yeah, and it was Frank that did the first V straddle, right?
I might have been. I
might
wouldn't be
have been.
surprised. Table full of Franks is what everybody's looking for.
Yeah, table full of Franks. The V straddle is gaining popularity at a viral rate.
Viral rate. I wouldn't be surprised if soon enough you're just like watching a World Series of Poker event and you're like, guys doing a V straddle here. You're like, guys, I know where that came from. I know where that started. It's huge. All right, so Anthony's going to pop in a $15 raise here with Ace Jack. Looks like Mike over here in seat 1 is going to make the call. Rebecca's going to get out of there, and action over to Jeff with King Queen, also going to make the call. Chris mucks it, so we're going to see 3 players here going to the flop.
The Brock 21, welcome to the chat. Yo, yo, yo.
Brockster, what's going on, my friend? 6-10 king, 2 clubs, top pair here for Jeff. Anthony's got a monster little draw to Broadway here.
Also has backdoor clubs. And speaking of backdoor clubs, 5 of clubs comes off on the turn, and Hope Springs Eternal. It checks through, and Jeff, once again, top pair, getting sticky with it. He's going to check and let Anthony bluff. And I like the check by Jeff. Jeff knows he has the best hand, but he also knows if he bets, it's really going to be hard for Casey to call with anything there. And so he's more than, or I'm sorry, not Casey, Anthony. I gotta keep screwing that up. he loses. I think, but if he leads out, even though you know he's like very confident, he knows he has the best hand. If he leads out there, Anthony's just gonna fold most of his hand or everything the way he played his hand. Give your opponent the opportunity to bluff sometimes. You know, some players may they'll mistake someone playing a hand passively when they check sometimes without realizing that oftentimes you're gonna make more money by check calling bluffs. Than you will by leading. Players still got I have the best hand, so I'm
Very
going to bet.
true. No, I'm totally okay with the check calling a bluff. I'm totally okay with that.
You think if you're pretty sure that your opponent's got mostly bluffs here.
I view that in itself can be a very strong move.
Yeah.
Check calling a bluff is huge.
Super profit.
Yeah.
And that's why Shaq's Peanut we're talking about. Why does Shaq keep checking top pair? And for some reason is that what he can get value there. It was a King 10 whatever board. He can get value from King Jack, and that's about it. Ace King's got him crushed. King 10 makes 2 pair. It's hard to give Anthony, put Anthony on a King 9 combination. It's really, like I said, you in that spot there, you're more profitable. I feel by check calling. I think it's fine.
It's true.
And it's just a guy who's experienced. He's been around the block, more than once or twice. And you don't need to be just we don't bet for protection in this game. That's not how we extract value in this game. We extract value by getting worse hands to call and by getting better hands to fold.
Now, speaking of some worse and better hands here, so Rebecca, who we've seen has been pretty tight so far at this table.
Yeah, she hasn't played a lot of hands.
She hasn't played a lot of hands, so it looks like Jake put in a raise. Rebecca repops it here to $52. Now, it's funny because most other players, it's like, okay, an instant call, maybe look you up, see what happens. But Jake here's not buying it. Jake said, Rebecca's playing pretty snug. She got a monster, and she sure enough shows Jake and validates his read here. So Rebecca is going to pick up the spot here with kings. Definitely the best. Definitely the best.
If Jake's in position there, I think he can call. You try to set mine with a 10, or maybe there might be some boards he feels like he can take the pot away from
and
Rebecca.
This is what we were talking about earlier with position.
Position.
Say it 3 times. It's like Beetlejuice. You'll get more position. I want to hold on to this button. I want to have it every time.
Wretched Eggs. Big Dog 42069. Stone's Gambling Hall is located just outside Sacramento, California.
Yeah, take Sacramento, California, knock it down like 3 degrees, and we're right about there up the street. Just a few degrees less, Actually, it's probably hotter. I'm just kidding. Yeah, Shaq, welcome to the chat room. At least 4 1K plus stacks. Very deep 1-3 game, and guys, I'm not even gonna brag. This is kind of the standard here. At Stones. These 1-3 games.
This is a pretty typical game that you'll see here at Stones. Some of the 1-3 will play a little lighter. Some of the guys. For those of you who don't want to sit down in a game with with $1,000, don't be scared off, run off.
Yeah.
But this is pretty common here for the 1-3 at Stones. So Casey has the straddle on.
And for those of us just tuning in, by the way, as well, guys, there's no whites in play on this game, but the greens are 25s, the reds are 5s, the blues are dollar chips, and you can see that there in the chat if you need a refresher. One day I'm still always bugging Justin to get some plaques or tiles for anything other than the tournament. I think we might see those one day. I'm just a sucker for it. I feel like I'm in a James Bond movie. What do you want from me? I'm gonna keep selling.
Doesn't it though?
Right? You know what I mean? I just feel like pushing in a stack of tiles. I swear, you could give me like a bunch of tiles and it'd be worth like $42. I'm still like, this is huge. This is huge. I'm pushing in tiles.
Top 2 for T. Yeah.
And that feels great with Ace 10. Ace 10 can just be such a weird, funky sucker hand sometimes. So you're flopping top 2 with Ace 10. You're feeling good. Life is good right now for T. So Casey bets 55 into T here, and T's really just thinking about how to extract value here. Do I flat? Do I raise? Where are we at here? There's really no draws out there. Other than 2 possible high cards drawing to Broadway, there's really not a draw.
Can I have a GA on 11?
And T's gonna pop it. He thinks that Casey's got an ace when he donks like this. The thing about it is, though, if Casey was leading out a 10, when we see some players, will lead out with like middle pair to see where they're at. Another move I'm not very or fond of. In this case, Casey's just dry bluffing. Then I think when you pop there, you kind of push him off the hand. And if Casey did have top pair, let's say he had like ace 5, ace 6, something, I think, well, one, I don't think Casey's going to have much that there. I think Casey's more likely to be feeling out middle pair than he is to be. I think he's going to check call most of his raggedy aces. Then I think you're just going to push him off there. So I'm not in love with it, but he takes down the pot. Wop Rise says Casey kicked butt in the Monday game. Yeah, he did. Yeah, Casey came up like 3 or 4K. Yeah, like you mentioned. Yeah, Casey.
Yeah.
Casey crushed Monday.
Just crushed.
God, I why can't I crush Mondays? Like Mondays to me, it's like feels like Mondays.
Yeah.
It's like someone's got a case of the Mondays.
And I'm like, well, nobody ever says that to me. I imagine you get kicked saying something like that right there, you know?
377 May 1 Champ says, let's have a stream exclusively for the regs here in the chat room. The Veronica and Friends game, which is maybe the best game ever on the stream.
It's true.
She's constantly, cycling and changing the theme of the game. One of the games I think she has coming up in August, as Watright mentions in the chat box, is that I think she is doing that, having a Twitch Friends themed Veronica and Friends game.
And I think, honestly, we're pretty much going to put their Twitch names up there too. So you're going to know, you're going to be like, wow, I've seen that guy play.
Like,
and then he spouts off in the chat room and you're like, what? I've seen you play. You don't play like that. I don't want to hear about it. All right, Jack Deuce Deuce here. Top pair for Anthony. Super nada for most everybody else here. Mikey, your king, queen, couple of overs.
Checks Anthony. He's going to bet his jack. He feels like he can get value from clubs. Unfortunately, that's all he can get value from, and no one's got clubs. Brett M. Call says, is a plus EV to straddle when you're not a great player? I assume it's beneficial to look less like a net. Nah, it is. I kind of disagree with that. I kind of disagree. I mean, totally disagree. Voluntarily putting money into the pot out of position. We kind of it seems like it's kind of been a theme of this show so far. It's position, position, position.
Yeah.
And when you're voluntarily, increasing the size of the pot, and putting yourself, namely, you're putting yourself in hands unnecessarily out of position. I'm not a fan. Now that said, if the entire table's straddling, I straddle, then I'm not any more of a disadvantage to the other players. But I'm not going to be the guy if no one's straddling to just suddenly, hey, let's throw a party, and I'm going to increase the size of the pots.
Yeah.
When I'm out of position and voluntarily put myself in hand when I'm out of position.
And sometimes what I'll do is, if I get a table that seems a little tighter than I'd like, sometimes that's one of the strategies I use to loosen it up. I buy a couple drinks, and I don't ask. I just start buying drinks. I just, I'm like, hey, but can I buy you a drink? No, it's just their drink's coming, and you drink it or not. I mean, I'll drink it if you don't, but hopefully we'll get you to drink it. That, along with putting in some live straddles, and I've said this before, I said, when I put in a live straddle, crap always ends up hitting the fan, and it's not even necessarily with me involved in the pot. It's just crap hits the fan, and you get a couple of those brewing, and it seems like the whole table just starts to loosen up, maybe call some bigger bets, maybe start raising a little more.
Yeah.
And I've seen this time and time again. So for me, I use it as just more of like an opening up tool.
No, that's a very good point. If you can take your opponents out of their comfort zone by straddling or by inflating the size of the pots. I mean, even if you think even at as long as you're not running on a thin bankroll or whatever like that, and you feel like by making the game play bigger, but you'll take your opponents out of their comfort zone. Well, they'll play too tight. Well, they'll start making errors. Anytime that you make your opponent make a mistake, whether it's playing too tight or too loose, in either direction, that's plus EV. So if you think that by increasing the size of the pot, making the game play bigger, your opponents will play worse, then by all means straddle away.
Yeah.
That's outside of that, and just in a vacuum, I don't like straddling just because. If the entire table is not straddling, just because, as I said, it increases the size of the pot and involves me in hands when I'm out of position when I shouldn't be.
But if they are, then you get like a Frank table, like a 1-3-25 game.
We were playing 1-3-25.
Good old 1-3-25.
Flop checks through and the Jack of Spades comes off on the turn. Batman still got the best of it with King 5. Shaq Spinner says that he sees it all the time, that the live straddle always makes a raise if everyone just calls. So if everyone just limps, that whoever has the straddle on will then put in a bet and try to take it down pre-flop. It's fairly common, but that can be exploited. You'll see players that'll abuse that And players aren't always, mind you, when they are raising out of the straddle, they're still raising out of position into multiple opponents. So oftentimes, usually they're going to have a hand. On the same side, if no one raises the pot, then no one's shown any strength either. And so the player kind of like, hey, everyone said that they don't have a great hand here. So then look at all that dead money out there. And so the player in the straddle will make a big raise and just look at them and take down all that pre-flop money. And that's fine too. But it can be exploitable where you'll start to see, if a player abuses that, you'll see players start limping strong hands to them. One of the hands I think I've actually brought up on the stream was a time that there was like 4 or 5 limpers in front of me in a straddle pot, and I looked down at ace-ace on the button, and the small blind and the guy who was in the straddle had been, consistently trying to pick up dead money, and so I decided to take a shot, and I limped ace-ace on the button in like a 5 or 6 way pot,
And then he pops.
counting on the small blind or the straddle to come back over the top. Funny story the way that hand ended up. It was ridiculous.
So looks like T here actually is going to flop top pair with a straight draw, and Mike with a pair of 8s, a couple of overs here, the over pair, I should say. So Mike's going to bet 30 with his 8s. Obviously T's not going to go anywhere. It's a matter of if T's going to raise or flat call. And it looks like T's definitely going to make a raise here. We're looking like it's going to be 75 maybe, it looks like. Raise to 70. So 40 here for Mike. And this is funny. This is the exact same scenario he was put in, I think, earlier this week on the stream, where I feel like every time Mike has 8s or 9s, it flops all unders, and he's forced to think about life. You know what I mean?
This sizing's really sick by T. Mike makes it 30, T makes it 70 to go. Mike's got to call 40 more. Such small sizing, T's not going to have many bluffs there as it is. He's semi-bluffing. And Mike is treading very, very lightly here. He is not looking to play a big pot. He calls thinking that T can be check raising some spade draws and or 1 pair straight draws, as T has.
Now, this is one of those things where I think being in position here, Mike actually gets a little bit more information. Because I think if Mike was in a position and he had to check it over to T, T's going to bet with anything.
Yeah.
But in this particular scenario where T is first to act, T's going to fire and give Mike something to think about.
Mike's going to call. I can tell you right now, Mike's got the intention he's going to call here and check back and or fold the river if T barrels again. Deuce comes off.
Doesn't really help. I mean, it doesn't really improve anything. I mean, I don't think anybody was really drawn here with the ace-5 unless it was like ace-5 of spades. And 5-6, you would have already flopped the stone cold nut. So really at that point, the deuce is still kind of a random brick.
Mike didn't want to see a 6-5 or a spade. It all bricked out. T's going to bet again here. God, he's laying Mike such a sick price.
He is. Yeah, so the pot's at 416 right now, and Mike's gonna make the call and see where he's at. Deuce was, like I said, yeah, the deuce was no help on the river there, and the 10 didn't scare Mike at all. And so I'm thinking if Mike thinks he was good on the flop, he could easily put T on a pair and a straight draw like he had, or a possible flush draw, even possible flush draw, straight draw, none of which got there. Great call by Mike. Some great sick betting by T to where he's almost value betting his hand and making Mike I think Mike doesn't like the call there. Mike's not insta calling saying I'm good. Mike's calling me like crap. Okay, you got me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, when T bets 165 there, I'd almost rather see. It's almost as if he's turning his hand into a bluff. It's really hard to get called by worse there. Mm-hmm. I mean, you really think that pocket sixes is going to hero that there? I mean, call turn and river, or call it check raise flop and turn, and then call river bet as well. It's almost as if T's turning his hand into a bluff. And if you're going to turn your hand into a bluff, which I have no problem with, I think if T would have been able to push Mike off there, it's a really, really great hand. But if he's going to turn his hand into a bluff, I almost would rather see T's sizing be a little bit larger there. After you lead 115 on the turn, come out and maybe bet like 230, 250 river.
Yeah, it was such a value bet call me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 165 though. I mean, while that might look strong at the same time, because it's such a
I'm looking for a call.
At the same time, you're laying Mike such a great price to hey, he's only gonna be right one out of 3 times or 1 out of 4 times here to make money. So I don't mind the line that T took. If you, especially because I think you can get Mike to fold better, but I think if you're gonna do that, I think you gotta maybe revisit your river bet sizing.
Yeah. All right, so let's go to this board here. Mike with middle pair, top kicker. Jake with fours that missed, and T with top and bottom pair. T looking to get a little bit of his money back here from the last pot. T's gonna fire out 75. Originally, Mike bet a quarter. T triples that up to 75. Easy fold for Jake here with fours. Now back over to Mike. They have a little bit of history. Now this is great because it was just these two involved in the last pot where Mike basically check called T all the way down. And so because there's that history that just happened, Mike could think that T's kind of steaming a little bit here, maybe trying to make a move on him, which is really going to work to T's advantage here. So he's going to make the call. 10 of hearts on the turn. Let's see here.
Gives Mike a... No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it doesn't really improve much here. T's still way ahead in this pot. Mike literally drawing to the remaining ace or nine. And T's betting 140, and what we're seeing is, it's funny because his bet sizing is very similar to the last pot, where Mike just called him down and totally took it from him. So this will be interesting to see what Mike does here. Obviously, Mike doesn't like the 10 on the turn. It could complete a weird, funky Jack Queen.
And also, you know, if T had you know, a hand like Jack 10 there, he just turned him.
Yeah, exactly.
Not the best turn card for Mike to continue with the hand with. So Mustache 77 had mentioned in the previous referring to the previous hand that the turn is a great card to raise. The thing about Mike's hand is Mike's bluff catching, and if you're bluff catching, I feel like you're more profitable just doing just that, catching your opponent's bluffs, than trying to inflate his pocket. I mean, it's really hard. Now that said, I mean, T did have one of the hands he would have been able to call a raise with, you know, pair and an inside straight draw. But if Mike's calling that check raise there on the flop, thinking that T's, you know, either, you know, has some in hand, you know, bluff straight combo, or he might have some bluffs there, then I'd almost feel like raising is just going to get worse to fold oftentimes. I mean, yeah, you can get value out of pair straight combos, pair flush combos, but if your opponent's dry bluffing, you're just going to push them off.
Dry bluffing sounds painful.
Yeah, it's not like, you know, you ever go to a chicken bar like, hey, you want to go dry bluff?
He's
like,
just like, you know what?
No.
I don't know what that is, but I don't want any part of it.
Yeah. But you say, hey, you want to go check raise the river with me? And then she's like, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I like that.
I don't know what that is either, but that sounds way better than dry bluffing.
So much better than dry bluffing.
I'm in.
Angry Pollock in the chat box.
Angry Pollock, I heard possible rumors of maybe seeing a wild Angry Pollock sighting tonight. We'll see if she does. We'll see if we do. Queen 4 here, yeah, nothing for anybody. Just super on to I call that the on to the next hand board.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're done with that.
All right, someone bet. We fed the rake. Let's get on to the next hand.
Yeah. We made our $3. Goodbye. So, guys, if you take a look at those chip stacks there, still very sizable stacks at the table. I mean, God, even the shorter stacks sitting 400, but everybody
Still
else
got
pretty much above.
Still got 100 bigs.
Yeah, 700. Most players above $1,000. It looks like there's almost 6K or maybe a little over 6K plus in play on the table, and 6K plus on the table in a 1-3 game is just, I'll take it. I'll take it all day. I'll take that any day. You know. Okay, Fine 5, welcome to the chat.
Melinda, our dealer right now, getting compliments in the chat box on her nails. Melinda is great. Like, she's make no mistake. Melinda is a poker player that deals, not a dealer that plays poker. And there is a difference.
There's a
between
very distinct difference.
Yeah.
Now look at this. We got our infamous Mike Postle here in C1, waking up with kings, and
That's
Rebecca,
almost like not fair.
Yeah, I know. Mike shouldn't have kings. I thought he raised us with 7 deuce.
Mike's supposed to be in like a weird
Yeah.
spot with like middle pair and an overcard kicker and like some wacky like hand.
Now, it looks like we got a raise to 15 for Mike, and if the graphics are correct, it looks like Rebecca mucked a king jack here for 15. Casey called a queen 10, actually spikes a queen here on the flop. Now, if Rebecca was still in on those graphics were right, I believe she had king jack of diamonds possibly, in which case she'd have a flush draw here.
Did she?
Maybe? I don't know. It doesn't matter because she's not in, so we'll just ignore it. So Casey here with top pair, Mike with the real top pair. You the real MVP here. All right, going to the turn. Bink. Ace of diamonds on
That
the
is
turn.
a less than awesome card for Mike.
And nobody likes to see that card. Mike hates it. Casey's not a huge fan of it, although it does give Casey a second nut diamond draw here going into the river.
Mike bets small.
Very small. 169 in the pot. Mike bets 50 called. And boom, 9 on the river.
Check, check. Mike's good.
And Casey smiles. He's like, yeah, I had top pair, and I even had outs to catch up. And I hit nothing. Dang it. So Mike's going to take down this pot here. 219 bucks. Nice little quick pot for Mike. Look at that. That is awesome. 2, 4, 6, 7 players with basically 7 of the 9 players have a grand or more at the table. Fat.
Life is good.
Just fat.
So, Casey there in that hand on the turn, and one, you're catching bluffs there with the queen 10. I'd almost think when the ace comes off, I'd almost think about attacking Mike's sizing there. He bets 35 on the flop on queen 6, 7, 2 diamonds. Ace of diamonds comes off, and he bets 30, and he bets 50. I really think that, I mean, yeah, I'm trying to roll a hand through the head. I mean, if Mike's got, something like a pair of 9s, a pair of 10s with a diamond, then yeah, you might run him off. But if he's got a better queen and has you beat, something like that, then I'd almost rather attack that sizing and turn your hand into a bluff, considering you don't have a diamond in your hand. But I think calling's fine too.
All right. So look at
3G45,
this.
yeah, that weakness for Mike on the turn was begging Casey to make a move there. Like I said, two schools of thought there, and like I said, it's kind of a balancing act. Because I mean, let's say if Mike's got 2 black 9s and you raise, you just push a worse hand out, which is counterproductive to trying to extract value. You want to keep his bluffs in. If Mike's got a couple 9s or 10s with a diamond, then you can get value from worse. And or if he's got kings, you can, as he did, you can get, or a better queen with no diamond, you can get him to fold a better hand. So, kind of a fun little hand to overthink. We all know I'm a fan of. I think calling's pretty standard, but I think going after attacking Mike's sizing, attacking weaknesses is absolutely fine too. Sometimes I find myself kind of autopilot like that. Like I'll have one school of thought, I can just call here, and I'm like, what am I doing? I grabbed a lot more chips than I'm into, and I say I raise, got it. I'm kind of almost like.
Have you ever done this? And I know I've done this, and I know you guys chime in the chat room if you have too. Have you ever basically just instinctively made a move before you really even thought about it, and then you just blurt out I'm all in, and then you sit there and you're like, holy crap, what did I just do?
I just did that.
I did not mean to do that. I did not mean to do that. Oh my god. Oh my god. You're like you just and that right there is the ultimate example of just going with your gut for me. Sometimes I'm just this guy doesn't have it, and it just gets to me. He's he checks over to me. I'm like, I'm all in, and then I instantly shut down. I'm like, oh my god, why did I do that? Why did I do that? This is so bad. I'm so scared.
I messed up.
Oh, I made a huge mistake. Milk was a bad choice. I immediately regret this decision. Oh, speaking of fun decisions here, Rebecca waking up with 8s against Batman's 10s and T's 7s. And Chris's 3s, pocket pair galore. So what do we think here? Maybe an 8-7-3, so we still have an overpair for Batman, and we just get super center train wreck? I don't think we're going to see that. 3s got out of there, so 10s, 7s, and 8s. And it looks like a Jack 4 going to the flop. Mr. Postle, no fear here. Hopefully his friends don't text him and needle him about this. Queen 6-7. Somebody had to hit a set, and it's going to be T here. Sweet retribution. Don't know if people have a whole lot to pay him off, but we're going to find out.
So yeah, I wonder what's going on. It kind of seems to be a pattern here. We're seeing Mike play these what we would generally say, somewhat irrational hands the way the hand played out, or playing. But then we come to later find out that we have some sort of graphical or technical error, and I'm wondering if that's not what we're seeing here again here. I know Mike's getting a great price, but there's not a whole lot of reason for him to be playing the Jack 4.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what are you really hoping to flop there? Jack 4, or not even that? Maybe 4-4 Jack. You don't even want somebody to have a Jack, right?
Yeah, you're gonna be check folding all your jacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tens can call a bet here, Walt Wright points out. Rebecca bets 45.
T, Love and Life too. Not only did he flop a set here, but it's a pretty dry board and no flush draw as well. I mean, super rainbow. T's Love and Life at this point.
He puts in the raise. The hard part for Rebecca is, I mean, this should be a pretty standard fold for Rebecca because she's blocking T's bluffs. She's got pocket eights in her hand. T can't be, you know,
He's got no 8-9,
he's got
5-8.
no 8-9,
Yeah.
5-8, exactly.
And if he has 4-5, she's totally blocking his outs. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only bluff that he can have there that she can beat is the 45 for the bottom end of the straight. That said, is because of Rebecca's pocket eights there. She's blocking T's bluffs.
It's funny because I think Rebecca has a pretty snug image. So, you know, already we saw like Jake fold earlier to a small raise when Rebecca had kings, a small rebase, a small 3-bet.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think that
With a pretty good hand there with tens.
yeah, with tens, and I mean, I think Rebecca can almost use that, you know, image, you know, to her benefit. And in this last case, I think that because her image is snug, when she fires and T raises, I think that T knows she's a strong player and is still willing to raise.
Yeah.
That it shows, it almost
Alarm
makes
bells
T,
him
yeah,
going.
it makes T that much stronger. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It makes T like, yeah, I don't care, dude, I got you.
Yeah, it's not like he's check raising me or you out there.
Yeah, me or you, I mean, because we never have it.
Yeah.
I could show you the nut flush. You'd be like, no, you don't have it. I raised. I'd be like, you're right. Somehow I don't. I fold. My cards fell off the table. It's a dead hand. On to the next one.
So is that a V straddle? Or did
Oh, it looks like a V straddle. We're going to call it a V straddle because I love it. Look at it, because it's in the shape
Casey
of a
has
V.
a V straddle. 35
Casey.
1-3-35. You're welcome. And Batman opens effectively under the gun to 80 with ace 10.
So we go from a V straddle to a B bet here for Batman. So he's going to fire it up. And Mr.
Oh,
Possum.
and Mike, ace 4.
Now Casey's just got some fun random suited cards. He's already getting laid a sweet price. I mean, he's getting 4-1 on his money plus. You know, 45 more to call into a pot of 200.
What he's got to worry about is that his hand's not dominated, but Batman might have a lot of king, you know, ace, king, queen, you know, type hands. Even king, jack maybe, raising there.
Boom, 9-7 deuce, super rainbow, misses everybody, and that is just an ugly board. I think this could just be battle of the aggressors here and see who takes this one down. And guys, just appease our friend Nightbot there who just won't shut up. Please click that heart for us. It's good stuff. You get alerted. It's good times. Do it. Everybody needs to do it. Everybody needs some heart in their life. Batman. Everybody checks over to Batman who's going to fire it out. Looks like here 90. 90 is the bet.
All right, so
A little over half pot.
he makes it 80 to go pre. To me, his sizing is polarized in the sense where he like flop the crap out of this and is trying to get players in. He's landing a killer price here.
Yes.
Or he's weak here.
Yeah,
In this case, I mean, it's easy for me to call or press to call you. We can see the cards, but I mean, you think about it. I mean, he's three-way here. There's
the pot's at 240. He's firing out 90 bucks. He's like, please call me.
And when and it's either, I mean, and so Casey, and I love it. Casey's a sick human being. Casey floats at king 6.
And this gets them both open-ended. That's a sick card too, because this gives them both open-ended, holding each other's outs here.
And now Casey, I feel like if you're gonna check call, I mean, it's not the card you're necessarily looking for to take the pot away, but at the same time, and like if you're counting on you check calling because you know that the 7-9 deuce is missing your opponent's range when he's raising under the gun most of the time.
And bingo bango, Batman says, you know, and Batman's like, I was betting on the con the whole time, dude. You know I'm hitting runner straight. Boom, done. So Batman here with the check mark, with the straight. But like we've seen before, putting a 4-card straight on the board could also induce bluffs or raises from other players.
And it's as sick as it is, it's a good card for Casey to bluff. He could easily have the 9-10 in this hand. And Casey sticks it. There it is.
Oh, he does.
And
Wow.
We wouldn't be like, this is a great bluff, unfortunately. I mean,
is.
but,
Oh, and he calls. He
but
makes
Batman
the call.
got there.
Yeah. And that's rough because I mean, you know, for him, Batman's thinking, okay, you know, he's making one of those moves. There's no possible if that completed a flush draw or something, that would have been a great move. But in this particular case, Batman's thinking, okay, you know what? I have literally the second nut. If you got 10 queen, you got me. And that's what you're gonna do. You're gonna make the call, and you're chalk it up to a bad beat if you lose. And that's what happens.
And on 7-9 deuce, how does Casey get there? How does he get to the river with queen 10? You know, he never has queen 10.
Yeah, he never has queen 10.
He never checked off queen 10 on 7-9 deuce.
And likewise, Batman shouldn't even have ace 10 there, but he was the aggressor, and that's how it runs.
Yeah, I mean, Batman can have some bluffs,
Yeah.
some 10x there, but like, they said, it's a great hand to bluff. Or it's a great card to bluff for Casey, because the way the hand plays out, he can have a lot of 9-10 there. I almost, like I said, would have rather see him take an aggressive line on the turn. It wouldn't have worked. I mean, if you want to be totally results oriented, it wouldn't have worked because Batman picked up the open-ended straight draw with 2 overs on the turn. So I think Batman would have stuck around in the hand, and then of course smacked the river. The hard part for Casey is the way the hand played out, and his sizing does look kind of bluffy.
Yeah.
But like I said, we've talked about that where like players, being balanced with their overbet, value bets. Someone made a comment there about hadn't made a comment before about that they only ever see players overbet jam with value hands. Well, we just saw Casey there overbet jam with a bluff as well. So I mean, if Casey's ever gonna river the nuts and just stuff it on someone, then if you're ever gonna hope to get paid off in that spot, then you got to be willing to do it at the same time. You got to have some bluffs in your range, which means you got to be able to overbet stuff it with junk as well.
And one of the thing about that too is in Casey's defense, if Batman doesn't have the 10, he folds all day long. You know what I mean?
Day,
he folds
every day.
everything else. Even if he has a set, even if he flopped a stone cold set monster, he folds everything else there in that scenario. In case he just says, "Oh," it's almost a more angry fold the bigger hand he has, but he still folds. You know what I mean? He's like, "Oh, I can't believe he caught up to me."
I have a GA on table 11.
Hey Bob, can you bring that back? I didn't quite catch you. Yeah,
I believe we're gonna have, we couldn't hear you, Bob, but I believe we're gonna have a machine changing out, maybe the shuffle machine or something.
Okay, gotcha.
So I think we're gonna skip out on a couple hands here.
Okay.
Look at this little flop here, 3 hearts going. Anthony, the only player with a heart, but top for T. We've seen a lot of these just massively all-suited boards here.
Anthony's gonna bet it.
I am Batman clearly over there texting Robin just to make sure he's taking care of the city while he's busy here playing some poker, as you should. Look at this turn, T. When you're running good there, buddy. He's trying to get back some of that money here. He lost a little earlier, so blank non-heart on the turn. King gives him top 2. Checks through to the river. Another non-heart blank. That's a great card for T. Pot sitting about 184. Anthony checks it over to T, who is definitely going to value bet it here. I don't think Anthony would ever check a flop flush twice over to T. I think that's what he's picking up on here. So it looks like he's going to bet maybe, what was that, 150? T bet 2 little stacks of green there. It's either 100 or 150, I think. And that's enough to get Anthony out of there. Nice bet, T. With the best hand, take it down.
And it's a good bet by T, because I mean, if Anthony did have an ace, he's probably gonna get called. But at the same time, I mean, I don't think you can. I mean, we talked to him before about checking and catching bluffs. If Anthony's got any semblance of showdown value at all, he just checks back. He checks back all his ace-x hands.
Yeah.
He might bluff a 1-heart hand, maybe, but after T check calls flop, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're just looking for a little bit of value there. I mean,
hoping that Anthony's got some sort of.
Of course, I mean, here's the deal. If he's not going to fire it, he's not beating top 2. So at the end of the day, I mean, you're just looking for a little value there. So guys, our graphics are totally going to go way out the window here for the next couple hands. So we're just going to fire in the dark here and make our own reads and join us in the chat room. Let's see what you think some of these guys have here. We had to reboot our hand that reads, or our computer that reads all of these magical hands. For those of you who may just be tuning in for the first time or not familiar, As you can see, every player here has a little tiny suited diamond thing in front of their spot. They set their cards on those diamond thing for a few seconds, and all of the cards have little RFID chips in them, and that enables us to read the cards and sends a signal back here. So sometimes when that goes a little haywire, we've got to get it, you know, I mean, I'm in IT, and I know half my job is, hey, did you restart it? So we're rebooting that computer here, so we're going to see a couple blind hands, and let's rock it out. Looks like we got 15 on the button over here by Mike, and it's enough to get Batman out of there. And it's enough for Mike to take it down, no contenders. I'm going to say Mike had a typical 7-deuce Mike bluff hand there, and he took it down.
Yeah.
Well played, Mr. Fossil, well played.
Undead Johnny, 138.
Undead Johnny, welcome, my friend. Mr. Optics, welcome as well. Good to see you both. A couple of regulars here in the chat room. I know them personally. They like to come in and sweat me. See how we're doing here. Very cool. One outer says Nits 80% of the time go home a winner. Remember that. I just want you to know that actually 63% of all statistics are made up on the spot. So I want you to remember that, because that's very important. All right, we got some graphics back. I don't know if they're right yet, guys. I'm assuming they're not, but we're just going to go with it, and it's going to make the play all that more interesting. How's that? All right, so we got Mike over here with pocket 10s, and he's going to put in a raise, so I'm just going to pretend that's right here. And
That's right.
yeah, sure, why not? He's going up to
Tell me otherwise.
Going up to $40 here in the hijack, it looks like. Action over to Casey, Jack 8. You know, and we're talking about position, right? So if these hands are right, it's very easy. You know, Casey can justify calling that Jack 8 because he's in position. The button is a very, very powerful tool in this game. It allows you to always see what all the other players do, possibly pick up a pot if everybody checks to you or appears weak. The button is a fun position, and I think you can really open up and loosen up your hand range on the button.
Yeah, Jack 8 on the button. It's almost like Jack 10, right?
Yeah,
Which is enough.
which is basically the nuts. It's pocket jokers if you're Jake. So that's wrong. That's good.
Oh, yeah, we lost the graphics.
I'm back over to chip stacks.
There's a lot of queens on the
Yeah,
board.
guys,
that
there's a
we
lot
know.
of queens. You know, maybe somebody has one. I think we're going to have two players at least pretending like they have the fourth queen, so we're going to find that out. Casey's out of there. Anthony looks like he's gone, and Mike's going to take it down here with 10s, supposedly. We'll give him credit for 10s, though. I feel like he played 10s there.
Yeah, 10s make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I feel like he played 10s there. I believe we will find
Look at Batman, 2,401 3 games.
It's true. I must ask you a question. It's true. I feel like if you actually wore this, people would just think you were like a Lyft driver.
Yeah.
They'd just be like, "Are you here to pick me up?" Sure, why not? Sure.
Not yet, but you get a couple more drinks. And
Hey-o.
maybe I will think of you.
Maybe after a couple cocktails.
Yeah.
Ew.
Marker down. Welcome to the chat.
Absolutely. Gorgeous dealer indeed. You know what, honestly, guys, I mean, I don't know. It's not a prerequisite to be a dealer at Stones, but most of our dealers here basically double as male and female models. So come on down, hang out with the cool kids. It's always good times here. 24 hours a day.
The Brock 21 asks, does Veronica play in the Veronica and Friends thing? Of course she does.
Not only does she play, generally speaking, she crushes souls. I mean, her track record's pretty solid in her own game. I mean, I want to get a game with my name in it just so I can crush souls. Good times. Speaking of crushing souls, I don't know what Mike has here, but I like his possible potential. Ace, King, Queen, all super high cards out here. Casey with everybody with 2 unders so far. It's anybody's game here. 3 on the turn. You can definitely come drink, Brock.
Yeah.
For sure, you're always welcome.
And whether Mike's got it or not, no one showed any strength in that hand, and so Mike's going to pick up the pot. Rick and Barstow, unless he's playing Lon, that is true. In that last game, Lon McCarran, our Stones Gambling Hall ambassador, one of our Poker Hall ambassadors.
Who lives super local, which is rad.
Yeah. He did own a little bit of Veronica Soul.
Oh, yeah. And it's funny because I was actually out having some dinner with Val out at the World Series in Vegas, and we were just streaming Veronica and Friends game you know, with him there, and I was just, this is so great. I'm like, you should be here, but you're not. We're here, and we're just streaming you right back to Vegas. So it's like you're here all at the same time. 377 May 1 Champ says really wants to get in that Veronica and Friends game, and hopefully they can build up a friendship with her in the meantime. Clearly without help from me, Jake R, or JFK Stones, because yeah, you're right. That will definitely decrease your chances if you name drop us. So please do not.
Yeah, I think she's paid people to like not be nice to me, not to be mean, but she's like don't be nice to that guy.
Yeah.
Like,
no, it's funny. We've tried to play several times, and you know, she's like, actually, Jake, that's the Veronica and Friends game. Did you miss the Friends part? And
yeah.
you're like, oh, I was just kidding.
Not the Veronica and others.
Fantastic. So look at this flop here. We got 2 spades on the flop. Monster flush draw here for T.
Ace deuce 3, 2 spades. Batman hits his ace. T picks up spades. Everyone else bricks, as we would expect the Queen 6 and the Queen 9 off to on most boards.
Brick City. And Batman picks up an ace. I'm Batman.
81 in the pot. Batman bets, or I'm sorry, checks to T. T bets 40. Batman can call.
And you guys want to see some sick carnage here? Let's put the 8 of spades on the turn just for fun. Woo! Nope. No help. No help. Does not change the game here. Batman still with an ace, and T with a monster flush draw here.
And now Batman is looks like he's gonna lead into T. Interesting line here with the ace-8 going to check call.
Check call and then lead.
And then lead.
And the turn is not, I mean, the 10 doesn't complete any sort of straight draw, it doesn't complete anything. But because it doesn't complete anything, you could also kind of smell something fishy and say maybe Batman already flopped like 2 pair. But unfortunately with T drawing to the spade draw, it's not going to get him off there. Now this is a fun card. Puts a 4-card straight on the board, which seems to happen pretty much every hand tonight, but does not complete the straight draw. Batman checks over. T was the original aggressor, then flat called Batman. This might be a position where T can fire, but he doesn't. He's going to check it, and he's going to see that he is out of this one.
I really thought it was a spade.
I think, I don't know. Even if T fires there, I mean, pot's at 321. I don't know if he could fire that perfect amount to get Batman to lay down. Maybe he could.
Well, with the line that Batman took, check calling and then leading, if you're T, it's really hard to rep anything by betting. You're kind of only repping the 5-4 there.
Yeah.
But which is hard because I mean, a 5 comes off, so it makes it less likely to have the 5-4. Yeah, there's really not a whole lot to rep there for T, so it's kind of like for T spot. I mean, with the line that Batman took, I mean, it kind of really took away all his thunder. He really can't do anything. He kind of crippled the river to get there or don't. And he didn't, and so he kind of like, well.
So Brett asked, what's a better way to play that hand? So you're out of position, you're Batman, you flop top pair, you're not too happy with your kicker, you're against T. What do you do there?
Honestly, I mean, yeah. Batman
do you check call down? Do you start firing from the beginning?
I check call down.
Okay.
Especially versus T, who can get creative and get aggressive. I just check all down. I mean, as it is, yeah, he got an $80 in value out of T on the turn. But if T was bluffing there, let's say, because mind you, on the flop, it checked to T.
Yeah, this is
and T could be betting with anything there. He was just like, hey, no one else showed any strength. If no one else wants to get the pot, I'll take it.
Well, and I was going to say, with you check calling down though, I mean, the funny thing is that T is a crafty player. He can be an aggressive player. At the end of the day, I think T makes. If you check all the way down, T plays it the same way with an ace better kicker. Or with that flush draw. I mean, I think even ace 10, ace jack or better, he's just bet, and you just
so I think check calling. I think it's more profitable. So one, you're going to minimize your losses when you beat, but 2, you're also going to maximize your profits when T's bluffing.
Yeah.
I think a check call down is pretty standard. As was it, I mean, on the turn, Batman. I think it's going to be kind of fortunate that he ran into one of the one hands that he could get value from, which is spades.
Yeah.
But if, like I said, if T just got some bluffs, some positional bluffs on the button, then you push him out when you lead the turn. Brett and Cal, MK, I'm sure I'm screwing that up.
Brett and K.
Brett and K.
We'll go with that.
Brett
We'll go with that. I
and
like that.
Cal. Much love back at you, brother. Wap Ryasa, any word on Jason McRoberts? Yeah, Jason's back in town.
J-Mac's here. I saw him last night.
Hammering the games.
Yeah, he's around. For sure. Good stuff. Looks like Rebecca has upgraded her poker gear. She now has on a nice pair of reflective glasses. I think by the end of the night, we might get a few more accessories going on. She doesn't mess around, but she's reading into your soul, and she doesn't want you to know when she's doing it.
You can get such a good read and such a good feel off of players by what they do and where they look and where they go with their eyes. And so one of the main reasons why a lot of players wear sunglasses. For me, I feel like a schmuck when I wear them. But it works for a lot of players. But sometimes, I mean, I'm almost wondering if maybe Rebecca's put on the glasses because the couple times that she's had hands and she's made an aggressive play, everyone's laid it down. So she might be wondering am I giving something away here?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna glass because normally I don't ever see Rebecca wear glasses.
Well, sometimes change it up, I mean, and it's not, it's you should always be shifting gears, always moving, and even if it's something as simple as maybe your wardrobe, doing whatever, just changing your overall demeanor at the table. So maybe she is doing that. Maybe she thinks that, hey, this might, either it just might trip up somebody's read on me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just kind of adjust it or change it a bit. She's not sitting here trying to win like model points. You know what I mean? She's just like, okay, well, if maybe they're seeing something, maybe they're catching one of those eye tells you were talking about.
Yeah.
And that's why.
I think one of the things I think Veronica, or not Veronica, wow, Rebecca's not getting paid off because like I said, she has a tight image, so when she 3-bets or raises, people
I think
are
Rebecca's bummed. She's like, I raised with kings, and he laid down tens, and after
That
that,
shouldn't happen.
and after that, I'm putting on glasses. I
That's
want
it.
tens to call me every day of the week.
So you gotta put your thing down, flip it, and reverse it.
Oh, and I don't even know that next line.
No one knows.
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. You got to ask Missy Elliott for that. You got to write in. You got to do a little phone in there.
No one knows what that means.
Nobody knows what that means.
Yeah.
All right, our action tracker here is catching up. Just trying to dump that last hand. Get on to this next one. I know the king jack ace jack ain't right, so once we get rid of that, there we go, it's gone.
Reading in Portugal. What's going on?
Hey, thanks for the kind words as well, man. Really appreciate it. There's a lot of hard work that goes on behind the scenes. And for those of you guys at home who haven't actually been here, possibly live, right behind us here, behind this banner is not. I mean, it's not just here for looks. They literally have a team of people back here that are running the cameras, running the action tracker, counting the chips by hand. I mean, they have a giant monitor and they're literally in here like looking at it with magnifying scopes. So there's a whole team effort. I mean, there's probably a good crew of anywhere from 5 to 10 people, not even including the players and dealers who put on this stream. So we really appreciate bringing it to you. We really appreciate the kind words. Thanks a lot for tuning in.
Well said.
Thank you. Thanks. Just speak the truth, man. All right, so on with this board, Mike with the best hand here with top pair, and again, an all-suited board. Seems to happen. All-suited boards and 4-card straights is the theme of the night tonight, guys. So Mike with the best, and Batman here, ace-king missing, 8-6, no good. Continues to be the best here for Mike. A very small pot. Let's see what happens. Yeah, that's it. We must have some sort of Pokemon Go stop here. That's I just wandered in and there was like a Pikachu in the booth, so I just stayed. I had to catch it. I'm here. I'm here like
check the fly there.
Like,
You're like,
whoa!
booth?
There's a what? Pikachu what? Oh man, guys, I'm gonna bite my tongue on my opinion of that game. All I want to say is that if you do play it, be safe. Don't walk into oncoming traffic or throw yourself off a cliff. There's enough people doing that. Unless you just want to help thin the herd of the world, then go for that.
You know what? Natural selection. Let people do as they want. We'll see who's really got it.
In a world where Pokemon is king, you must fight to survive.
No, that's it. Okay, I'm done.
Two-Faced Man 69 just wants to know the chairs are comfortable. Yeah, no, compared to a lot of card rooms,
Oh, very
absolutely,
comfortable.
no.
Let's just put it this way: a lot of card rooms you go, and they will have all these seat cushions laid out for you, and that's kind of, I don't want to say anything, but kind of because their chairs suck. And we don't have that here because the chairs are naturally pretty rad. I mean, these chairs are probably several $100s a piece, and there's a lot of them. So come on down and find the one that works for you.
Casey makes it 10s under the, or makes it 10 to go with 9s under the go. I can get it right.
Yeah, hey Brett, if you know anybody who's auditioning for the movie preview voices, go ahead and give them my number. Give him a shout out. Actually, the most popular movie preview voice guy actually passed away a few years ago. They made a documentary about him called In a World. And yeah, I mean, and it was, they showed like a small sampling, and I swear it was like every preview you've ever watched ever. And like, you can't unhear that voice. And you see him in an interview talking, and he talks just like that. That's his normal voice, you know? It's just
Really?
like, I'm going to dinner, you know? I'll have the steak, medium rare.
That's incredible.
All right, so we got mystery hand for Jeff here, 9s for Casey.
So Casey actually put in the straddle under the gun and woke up with 9. So Jeff, who had limped in with 5s, Casey put in a raise out of the straddle with the 9s. And check on the flop, and Casey leads. No.
No.
Casey led the flop, and Jeff floated in with 5s on the ace-king deuce. And takes away the pot from Casey on the turn. Go Jeff. Yeah. 6, 7, 8 is back.
Monster. And Two-Face Man 69, welcome, my friend. 678 right there. Welcome, welcome.
Call me JC. Welcome to the chat. Appreciate the love. 6, 7, 8 has been a long time, brother. Assuming you're crushing the games down there. And,
678 underscore. Okay,
Underscore.
make sure you don't forget the underscore.
yeah,
Very serious.
Don't
about
forsake
it.
the underscore.
Very, very so sincerious. Actually, Rebecca's glasses are growing on me, man. She actually looks pretty like hardcore with those glasses and the reflectiveness of it. Killing the fashion game at the table.
So under the gun +2, Big Jake makes it 15 to go. King 10 off. Jeff calls. He's got 5s again. Mike comes along in the small one with ace-6, and Casey somehow gets priced in queen 7 off. Peter hand.
And of course it's an all-suited flop, because that's apparently all we do here at Stone, so welcome. The only player with a club, actually, is Jeff with his pocket 5s. Still going to be tough to feel comfortable with that. 8 of spades on the turn. Really helps nobody. Jeff is still dominating this hand, ironically enough, with 5s.
Flush gets there for Jeff. I don't see him going for thin value here. He probably be content to check it back and show down his club.
Yeah, it's a check, hope I win type play here.
And Casey, who rivered the queen, was very eager to show it. Sean McCormack is double barreling or double fisting poker streams right now.
He's
What a
taking
sicko.
all the live streams in he can. He's
Yes.
just like, I got 2 beers here, I got 2 streams, life is good. Yeah, and there's a look at your chip stacks. Like Static Lucaris says, super deep stacked 1-3 game, very good times. I mean,
good
there's
poker.
not many 1-3 games where you hop in there and there's a couple players with like, I don't know, like $2 grand plus. You're like, really?
That's the thing about this game. Like right now, you can sit down in this game and start out with 2,500. You can find it.
And that's so sick. You're like, oh, I feel like this is the home game, right? And I brought this up before. This is the home game where you go play with your buddies, where it's a 5-cent, 10-cent game, and you magically win $200. Like, how does that happen? Like, this is that game. You know what I mean?
Nothing like buying into a game for 600 bigs.
Yeah. Sean McCormack, that Boston accent there was for you, kid.
Much love.
Park the car in the yard, go down to the harbor.
Anthony, ace-6 off out of the cutoff, puts in a raise. Makes it 15 to go. Gets called from Batman T and Casey.
Hey, a non-suited, all-suited board. It's amazing. 5-3-8. 2 clubs here to the flop, and looks like we have T here actually with the best. Oh, yeah, barely the best of it here actually.
Anthony, who was the original pre-flop aggressor, does have backdoor nut clubs, some backdoor straight combos as well, or backdoor straight draws, I should say. Casey's going to check call Queen 9 of spades. So we've seen Casey make a couple of these reads before, where he floats a player, the original aggressor. I mean, he's right. I mean, 8-3-5 is going to miss Anthony a lot of the time, which he
It's gonna
does.
miss a lot of players, you know what I mean? And I mean, even if it hits you, somebody like T, I mean, you still have so many outs. Even though T was ever so slightly advantaged, Casey was still right there with him with just 2 overs. 2
And
overs.
I love this bet by Anthony. It's going to be really hard for anyone who called the flop to connect, you know, or anyone who called 8-3-5 with 2 clubs to connect it with the King of Hearts on the turn. So when you have nothing but bluffs, I think it's a great card to double barrel. I mean, because someone got there, king 8, king 5 for an improved 2 pair. It's really hard for that. It's really hard for the king to improve anyone. Good card to double barrel for Anthony. Takes down the pot.
Well, I'm really no good at riddles here, but it says, if I was a chicken and you're a donkey and you ate my 2 feet, what would you have?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I think we're going to find out the punchline soon enough, and if it's PG-13 or better, maybe we'll read it on the air. We'll find out. We will find out. But like I said, PG-13 from the 80s, though, where you can still get away with a couple things.
Yeah.
There you go. And Pocky at the common.
Ace, king, deuce, 2 spades. T hits his ace.
And looks like we can't actually read that on the air, but it is a fairly funny punchline. So I figure if there's asterisks already built into it, I cannot read that. But that is some good stuff.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, jeez. All right, here. So T's going to make the call at 20.
Anthony's in the hand, and we don't see his hand in the graphics. I don't remember what Anthony had, but he
Jack
is still
on
in
the
the
turn
hand.
hooks up with Chris here with the jack. Oh, how do you go running jack 6? That's so sick.
Chris is out of the hand.
Oh, okay. I was like, what? Plus, it actually does complete his possible spade draw, so.
Anthony bets 60. $377 May 1 champ, get your tongue out of my, oh, never mind.
I'll take it. Ugly Black Prince 88. What is going on? Welcome to the chat. So we got Jeff here with the mystery hand. Unless, did you know what Jeff had?
I think Jeff's out of the hand. It's Anthony. Anthony bet river here, and T is in the tank with ace 8. Spades got there. He doesn't like it.
No, does not like it at all. Plus, not a kicker, no 2 pair.
Now
it's Jeff. We got Jeff
now
in the
action's
hand.
back on Jeff.
Oh, okay. I see Anthony there. I see his bet of $60 there. And now it's heads up between Jeff and Anthony. And Jeff is, looks like he's going to make the call. I don't see a raise there. Oh, he's thinking about it. Stacking them out. He's going to make the call. And Anthony's going to table. What is that?
Looks like spades. Looks like spades.
I see a 5 of spades, maybe.
It was spades.
Sure. Yeah. Well, you know, Anthony's going to take this pot here. We're going to call it some spades.
So we didn't see what Jeff called with. We know. I can see it looked like 5-4 spades, something like that. Anthony takes down the pot. Didn't see what Jeff called with. I gotta imagine it's some sort of an ace. If T would have called, I can't imagine Jeff would have been able to overcall.
Sean McCormick, the weather right here is, let's see, we're going to describe it in one word, hot. We're going to get a little heat wave, it seems like, going into the next week here. I mean, my brother's a weatherman. I'm definitely not the weatherman here. But it seems like we're getting a little bit of heat wave here from the low pressure from... No, I'm just kidding. Right, here's our green screen. And as you can see, we have this high pressure wind coming down right here. No, okay, I'll have to send that clip to my brother and be like, turn to this point, I'm taking over your job. But I think it's supposed to heat up and then hopefully cool off a little bit. God knows my electricity bill and air conditioning unit needs it, that's for sure.
Jeez, right?
I know. You talk about going broke, man. I have to like double, triple up just to pay my AC bill this month. It's not going to be pretty.
Barrels.
Barrels.
Casey makes it 15 to go out of the cutoff with a 5 hit hard.
Okay, if we're talking like here hot versus Vegas hot, then
Oh, no, we're way cool here. We're way
never
cooler.
Vegas hot. Okay, but in that case, just bring a parka because it's a little cold here, right? I mean, we're not Vegas hot, but for sure. Come on down, dress in some shorts, have a good time. Unless, of course, you're in a card room, preferably Stones. Then I would get one of these lovely Stone hoodies that our male model is showing off here.
Available for $25 on your player's card or $50 cash.
God, you're good. And looks like we got a couple little hands developing here. All right, ace deuce 6-8 and 6-8. Oh, we're catching up. All sorts of catch up here. There we go. I knew we had an ace king in there with Mike. Okay, so queen 9 10 4. 2 diamonds on the flop. Another diamond on the turn. Ooh, another diamond on the river. No diamonds here. All sorts of nasty. Mike with top, not liking it. Yeah, there's just a whole lot of nothing going on there.
I looked at my car. I didn't have
Banshee King 13. I think that question is best answered by
Probably JFK
Mr.
Stone.
JFK Stones.
Yeah. 6, 7, 8. Thank you. I think I did some possible voiceovers in another life. We'll find out. Definitely not in this life yet, but I'm down. Let's do it.
Here's what I love about having 6, 7, 8 in the chat box. He makes a comment, Jack 6 is loose pre-flop play. Jack 6 is loose, but pre-flop play is arguable. Most of your EV comes from post-flop, mainly turn and river play, which is, I mean, exactly that. You see a lot of players that can very, very profitably play an incredibly wide range pre-flop because they play so well post-flop.
Yeah.
Then, I mean, they can take, I mean, some players will argue, like, I can play half the deck.
I feel like they're playing the board, right?
Yeah.
They're playing the board and they're playing the player. It really and you know it's you hear this. It's such a canned term, which is play the player, not the cards, right? It's so much easier said than done, obviously. But there's so many players who have the ability to just look at a board and say. And play it in a way where I can make a player believe I have this hand every time. I can make him believe that I have a flush draw, or that I hit top pair, or that I was on a straight draw and I completed it. And some players just have a natural knack for that. And you'll see those players getting a little bit more splashy and not being afraid to call larger raises, or maybe even 3-bet a bluff, because hey, they know what the heck they're doing when cards start flying. Which you definitely can't say that about a lot. I mean, there's a lot of players who just play very ABC poker. I'm only playing 10s or better wire.
They're playing the same game pre-flop, and then and they have a bad habit of turning in their hand face up.
Bingo,
on later streets.
Jake with the Stone Cold Nutskis on the flop there. Top set for Jake. And unfortunately, nobody else has really anything to look him up. Anthony here with a middle pocket pair here with 9s. Boom. 5 of hearts on the turn is going to give Casey a pair of 5s. And actually put open-ended for T there. So this could get a little funky. Anthony's actually got 2 of T's outs there with his pocket 9s. This could be a little weird fireworks river too, depending on what came. What if a 9 came? Ooh, it'd be disgusting.
There is some straight and flush draws out there that Jake can definitely get value from. And now with Casey betting out his 5 and T calling, Jake can definitely get value from worse hands.
Looks like Jay's gonna pump it up. So Casey bet 80, T calls 80, and now Jake behind looks like he makes it 200, which is such, oh man, it's gonna be tough if Casey's not gonna call this.
All the one pair straight call, I mean 5-4 is definitely calling,
and
6-4 is calling.
And Anthony's gone. The thing is, if Casey had a stronger hand and makes the call, he automatically prices T in. But I think T obviously knows he's crushed at this point, and I don't know if T's going to call heads up, but it is.
I think you definitely call your T. Like, so that's what Jake.
Well, I was going to say it's borderline. It's cheap enough, right? I mean, the pot's 524. It's 120. I mean, you're basically almost getting 5-1 on your money here. And if you hit it, you know you're going to get paid, unless it's a 4. If it's a 4, it's pretty obvious with a 4 card straight in the board that I think Jake can get away from it. But if you hit a rando 9, which we know that there's very slim chances.
The 9 is the best card in the deck for T.
The 9
Unfortunately, 2 of the 9s were folded, but
yeah.
I mean, Jake can get value from all the hearts. He can get value from 7-8, 5-4, 6-4. I'm saying 5-4 and 3-4.
Oh,
yeah.
So T gets there, but Jake hates seeing that card. But the thing is, it's not really going to get any sort of action. I mean, unless Jake, and again, T is a very capable player of just totally bluffing at this 4 card straight board. But in this particular case, not only does he have it, he has the super nutso end of it. But because he's capable of bluffing this board, and Jake knows that, Jake knows that the only hand that beats him is a straight. He's not happy about it. And I think if another super tight player makes this move, maybe Jake can get away. But being that it's T, and that he's capable of bluffing this board, Jake makes the call. Yeah, I mean, it's just...
If there's one player at the table that's capable of bluffing there.
Yeah.
It-
See, yeah. Oh,
it is
yeah.
T.
See, and right now, I mean, I can't really hear it, but I know T is just telling Jake that if you make it more than 200 on the turn, I'm gone.
Yeah, but see, I mean, okay, so I
But
mean,
you want to get value, like you
yeah,
said.
but 6 and 8 makes a good point. I mean, and that 200 is too small. Not because you don't want you're trying to make your opponents fold, but because I mean, 7-8's gonna call, 5-4's gonna call, 3-4's gonna call, hearts are gonna call. I think you actually lose value by raising small there. You actually get more value from all those same draws when they miss that are still gonna call a larger raise on the turn. I think you actually lose. I mean, like I said, 200 is on the small side. I think you can definitely make it. I mean, because Casey led for how much? Was it 80?
80, and he made it 2. I think if he makes it 3 there, it makes it a little. T has to think about a little more to make that call.
And but you want T calling, but I think you know 250 plus is,
And not only does he want him calling, but especially he doesn't know this, but especially since 2 of the 9s are dead, he really
well, yeah. I
wants
mean,
him
you don't.
calling.
But I mean, from Jake's perspective, you don't
Yeah.
know that. I mean, but
Yeah.
so you can get value from 3, 4, 5, 4, 7, 8, all the hearts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, Jake lost the hand, so I mean, you're gonna be results oriented. You say, yeah, I mean, yeah, Jake only would have built up a big pot that he would have lost even more in, possibly. But I mean, most of the time, his opponents are gonna miss. I mean, T got very lucky; he hit his card. Overall, though, I mean, most of the time, Jake might have lost a little bit of value there from all the draws that are gonna call him when he's got top set. So Jake doesn't want to raise more to get someone to fold. Jake wants to raise more to get more value out of all the draws that can call you.
I don't know what food is around us, but I smell garlic and it smells delicious.
Yeah.
I smell lots of garlic and it smells fantastic. He's like, sorry, that was me. I had a lot of garlic for lunch. It's just seeping out of my pores.
Ugly Black Prince, yes. King's top set called. Like I said, once again, in Jake's defense, one of the players at the table that, maybe the only player at the table that's capable of turning like a pair of kings into a bluff there. If T maybe had a hand like king, I mean, mind you, it's hard for T to have a king because Jake's blocking the kings. But if T had a hand like king 10 or king 9, and he decided that, you know, hey, I'm probably out kicked here a decent, percentage of the time, and want to turn 10 into a bluff. Then again, if he had that hand, if you're calling the raise in the river, I think you're more profitable. If you think king 9 or king 10's ahead, you're probably more profitable check calling there. So try to put your opponent on that kind of hand. But I mean, if there's a player at the table that's capable of bluffing that the river there, it probably is T. T's got gears.
God, I got gears. I got lots of gears.
Yes. I agree. But I
Lock
mean,
it up. Look at Batman over there. He not only saves the city by day, but by night he comes in here and just stacks poker towers. And I think rightfully so, Jake has taken a little breather from the table. Got to do a little, well, not victory lap, but you got to do a lap. You got to walk it off, take some breaths. You're like, okay, next time I flop the Stone Cold Nuts and I have top set, hopefully it's good.
yeah. I totally agree with 678 here. Is that the issue with donkeying 400 into a 640 pot on the river is that you have only a very small 7s in your turn calling range, and that you should be either shoving all in with a super polarizing bluff on the river range to stay balanced. I agree. Like, and then I think I've talked about that. Like, sizing is so important with the hands are representing and keeping bluffs in your range. That sizing, like 400 into a 640 pot. Even like I said, even though like you're right, you got very few 7s there. It's gonna pretty much say that you have a 7.
Yeah. So it looks like Batman here with deuces. We got Casey coming in there 4-6. Mike with king 10. Mike's gonna spike a king here on the flop. And looks like Mike's gonna check out right there in the first position. Casey's gonna check behind, and Batman's gonna bet 115. I just feel good, like I feel like just like, oh, of course there's Batman at the table. Like, we got Batman here. All right, so Mike's gonna, looks like he's gonna make the call. Casey has a little gutter ball here.
Backdoor diamonds.
Yeah, backdoor diamonds. Casey's gonna make the call as well.
If the diamond comes off, Casey might look to put in a little raise.
So queen here, I don't think, with Batman firing and having both guys check call behind, you can't feel great about deuces right here. But it doesn't mean that they know he has deuces, and it doesn't mean that he can't represent something stronger. I mean, king on the flop here, let's see what he does. So they both check again to him. Now he checks behind. He's going to look at a free river, and 3 improves nobody. But it's a fun little possible bluff card. Diamonds didn't get there. Really no draws got there at all.
I don't think you're Mike. I mean, Mike's reaching for chips here, but I was thinking this is why I think he almost might be more profitable to check calling bluffs. You know, busted diamonds. After the turn played so passively and everyone checks through, I'd almost think if you're Mike, you're almost be more profitable.
Show it.
Check calling. I mean, because you beat King 9.
Give somebody a little rope to hang their own noose, and then
you beat King 9. That's it. Is someone really gonna? I mean, bet. Thin bet, you know, or bet for thin value with a queen.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, here's the deal. Unless they have ace king or king queen, right? I mean, you're pretty much chopping anyways there with that river.
King jack.
Whatever.
I mean, but you're only getting value from king 9, and I'd almost like said. I mean, I'd almost rather check and let diamonds bluff at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he bets 175. I believe Casey already mucked there. I think the graphics just don't show it yet. Yeah, he's just on his phone chilling. So action over to Batman here, who's definitely pondering a hero call. I think Batman's right now is thinking the way that Mike played this hand, check call, then they both check the turn, could easily have missed diamonds, and that's what he puts. So Batman's gonna make the call. Fortunately for him, it's no good.
Yeah.
But I think he's putting Mike on a total rags missed diamonds. Just whatever. Just ace anything in diamonds and you missed it. But that's not the case here. Mike with top pair is gonna be good.
678 says overbet, and that's where once again you talk about bet sizing, keeping bluffs in your range. That if Mike wants to get value from worse than a king, and he wants to rep busted diamonds, it's where you're repping busted draws and keep betting for thin value with king 10. Yeah, and like I said, sizing there. I mean, I think Mike might be a little bit fortunate to get called by Batman, but I think either check calling or overbetting. I think it is. Might be a little bit better of a line. Yeah. Maybe.
So taking a look at those chip stacks, it looks like we have, I think, geez, right around 8,000, maybe a little over at the table. Hell of a 1-3 game. I'll take it. Anthony, call your mother. He says, no thank you. Mike's gonna get in there. And Batman upgrades from deuces to 3s. Where does he get those wonderful toys?
Working up the ladder.
Working up the ladder. Where do you get those wonderful toys? Yeah, I mean, the Brock here, I mean, you're getting regular on the regs, like $500 plus pots. Look at this.
Casey's got a lot of 9s.
Casey, a lot of 9s. I mean, these, 1-3, you're getting regularly $500 plus pots, $900 pots like this, like it's nothing in a 1-3. I mean, sweet game. Casey fires, nobody else has anything to look him up. I think Casey was just firing out there to get any sort of value from a king.
618, I asked if I've been killing turnies. I actually haven't. I've been playing my turnies. I've been hammering cash. I played pretty hard this last weekend. I mean, after kind of took a little break, took a little time off, and most of the time I spent here was spent doing this, commentating, with spending all my time with you guys. Yeah, I've been playing a lot of tournament poker. I played the Run It Up event in Reno, played the main there, had a blast, played well, ran bad. What else is new?
Yeah,
but
play
cash,
good, run bad. Yay, poker.
Cash game poker supports my tournament habit.
Nice.
Angry Pollock still in the chat. 138 is like a rapper's gold chain at Stones. Bling bling.
Little rapper's delight. 6, 6, 7 here on the flop. We got a little gutter ball here for Mike. We got a pair of 7s for Batman along with those 6s on the board. And everybody else just kind of has some air. Boom, clubs here completes a possible club draw and actually gives Casey a redraw to the nut club here with the ace of clubs. And they check around and no help to anybody. 8 of spades on the river.
I love it. Sean McCormick says that managing poker supports his poker habit. Shaq Finner asks what stack match is. That's table stakes we refer to, like where you can buy in up to the largest stack. At least in this game, it starts out as 60 to 500 to start, but then we play table stakes after that. So that's where you saw Anthony able to come in and sit down and buy in for 1,000.
Yeah, could you imagine that? I mean,
right off the bat.
You basically come, hey, I'm gonna go play the 1-3. I'm bringing a 5K bankroll with me so I can have 2 barrels to buy in, once for 2,400, another for at least 24. At that point, if you dump it to him, right, you can buy for another freaking 5K. We'll take it.
So Veronica, alluding to some of the upcoming events we have coming up here at Stones.
A lot of
I
fun
know
stuff.
we got some sick, Justin's always got some sick stuff in the works for the Stones Fall Classic coming up.
That sweet smelling cologne.
Yeah, so if
They
you guys want to get on the
listen
stream,
to players, they listen to the players and they give the players what they want.
So if you guys want to get on the stream, you can always hit up our Poker Concierge line, which I'm sure you'll see pop up in the chat here shortly by our super needy Nightbot. But otherwise, just come here and play one of our tournaments upcoming and just hit the final table, and you'll definitely get some airtime. Tell your friends, tell your family to tune in and see how you play some good poker.
On 11.
22.
Batman makes it 22 to go. Ace-9 off out of the small blind. And now we're going to see a chain effect here. Where Batman's not going to be playing a bloated pot out of position with a pretty raggedy hand.
We had a question about the rake. I believe the rake is just up to every individual establishment. I don't think it's mandated, maybe tribal land versus not tribal land. I think they just kind of set it as whatever they deem necessary. And I think a lot of the things here in Stones are really geared towards the players. So I think, maybe their aggressive, slightly lower rake is just because it's a player's place,
6 minutes says, don't worry about the rake, he played Jack 6 off. Disco on the turn for Big Jake.
And look at Casey makes a small end of it too, just because, why not?
Jake checked it over to him. What a sicko. I love it. Mike's going to pick it up, or try to pick it up. Bluff turns his pair of 8s into a bluff. Casey calls with the wrong end of it, and Jake's going to put in the check raise.
And right there with the check raise, some alarm bells should be going off for Casey saying, yeah, I knew it was no good.
I mean, it turns his hand face up.
Yeah, he knows. He knows. I mean, once you get a player, you talk about some card posture. Once you get a player who kind of picks up their cards and looks at them, I'd say 95% of the time they're gone.
Yeah.
Just J raise and V straddle every hand plus EV. Veronica, I did not know she could do math, but apparently she's pretty good at it because I think she's right on the money here.
Yeah. So I love it. Someone you mentioned just having all your buddies and can watch you. One of the things, the other tools you can use the stream for, we talk about analyzing yourself and go back and watch your hands. But also a player I admire and kind of watching and kind of try to pick a lot of stuff from. I think I mentioned him last stream is Blake Eastman.
Yeah.
He made a really deep run in the main event. Made it to day 6, I believe. Great poker coach. He also runs the School of Cards and Beyond Tells. And part of the Beyond Tells program, if you send in a video to them of yourself playing poker, they will break you down from a physical tell standpoint. And here's what you do, and here's what you do right, here's what you do wrong, here's what you need to stop doing, here's, and for a relatively, nominal fee compared to the amount of value you're going to get out of it, they can tell you everything that you are doing right and or wrong, with your non-verbal action in a poker game, which oftentimes, I mean, that's the difference between winning and losing.
Oh, it is. I mean, and we've all been in that scenario where, you shove a stack in or you make a large bet and the other player is super teetering. I mean, they are right on the line of calling or folding. and it's that one action, that one breath, that one, just anything that you do, that one hand movement, that one chip posture that just makes them call when you wanted them to fold, or on the flip side, makes them fold when you wanted them to call.
When someone makes that big bet into you, and you're deciding whether or not to call.
Yeah, and so it's very important to not only be aware of that, but also be able to control that, because you can really use that to your advantage. I mean, I've definitely had players who were on the verge of folding, and I specifically kind of either said something or made a posturing move that
please fold.
Yeah, that in the end got them to like, okay, well, I'm gonna hero call, and then I'm just like, yes, give me your money. Give me all of your monies, Gypsy. You know, so it really, it's very important to be aware of all the nonverbal cues.
Maximize your value out of being on the stream.
Yeah. Brett says, when I shove all in, I just put my head in my sweatshirt and pretend I'm a turtle. Problem solved. Done. Turtles in a half shell, guys. Turtle power. That's how it goes down.
I meant rupee infested flies.
I think it was on the episode of High Stakes Poker. We saw the Unabomber, Phil Locke, do that.
Yeah.
Made a bomb turn a riverbed, whatever like that, and just completely like locked it down.
I love it. Locked it, quote unquote. Joe Flat, yeah, I believe it was mentioned in the chat that Crush Live Poker is a good one to check out. Definitely recommend Crush Live Poker. They're kind of a loose partner here with us. They take a lot of our streams and they do some deeper hand analysis.
Yeah.
And so if you kind of like the overall analysis that you're getting here already, they take it and they just go super deep with it. So they'll take one hand and they'll take 20, 30 minutes on one hand. So definitely check out Crush. It's a super nice site to help fine-tune your skills a little bit.
Bart Hansen, David Tuckman, all the best.
Yeah.
On a board of 9-6 deuce, 2 clubs. See Jake put out a bet. He's got a pair of 6s and backdoor spades.
Backdoor spades. And that's the kind of hand where if that hand progresses and a spade hits the turn, you're just thinking, money in the bank, I have half the deck of outs, pay me.
Wow, Veronica is super needling in the chat.
Oh, I love getting super needled. It happens more often than Veronica likes to give me credit for it.
Hey, yeah. So I kind of feel bad here for Chris. I mean, Chris hasn't played many hands, but I mean, I think it's his first time on the stream, but I haven't seen him had much to work with though either. I mean, I saw him he picked up Ace King one time. I haven't really seen him pick up much else in the way of hands.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's tough for him, because he's got Mike Postle 2 seats to his left, and Casey right behind him.
Yeah, it's rough.
Very active
when you have
players.
Some strong players with decent stacks right to your left, it's just kind of it'll definitely change the game. You'll have to adjust your game, etc. 377 May 1 champ actually says, hey, maybe if Veronica and friends, maybe we can get a Justin Kelly or possibly a Jake Rosensteel and friends live stream. The only problem is that we don't have any friends.
Yeah, what do we do there?
So I guess it would just be a heads up between me and you. I don't know. That's all we got. So we'll see. Look like Rebecca's possibly looking at racking out some chips. Rebecca's just been kind of running cold, man. Really not getting a whole lot to
Same
work
thing.
with.
She didn't get a lot of work. A couple hands she picked up. I mean, when you're not playing a lot of hands. She had a hard time getting action on the hands she did pick up. Batman makes it 16 to go with kings.
Meanwhile, Batman gets pocket pairs like every other hand.
Yeah,
So
right?
that must be nice.
T calls with 4s. Mike's in there. Wait, no, I'm sorry. Wait, did I lose that? Mike calls with 4s. T calls with 10-8 of diamonds.
Boom, 9, 6, 10, 2 clubs here. Looks like T picked up top pair with a little straight draw. Jake has a gutter ball. Batman still got kings. Mike's got his 4s. Nothing really much here for Chris. Jeff's right in the middle of everything here with pocket 7s. I'm interested to see what comes on the turn and how this hand develops here. So T fires out, small bet of 16 here. Jake makes the call.
It's a really, really wet board. See what Batman's gonna do here. I mean, I think his plan here was to check raise, and I think he's gonna stick to that plan.
up. So, there you
Makes
go.
it 115 to
There you
go.
I was waiting for that number. So it's a solid raise here. I mean, he's literally saying, how about a buck on top, guys? How about 100 on top? And that's going to thin the herd quickly here. Which is exactly what he wants. I mean, that's a scary kind of board. I mean,
There's a lot of turn cards that are going to come off.
There's so many turn cards.
that Batman's going to have to check fold to.
Well, and here's the deal. There's so many turn cards that come off that would kill you on the turn. But not only that, there's so many turn cards that come off that are going to keep everybody in there.
Yeah.
Like a turn card that all of a sudden, even if they didn't hit it to beat you, it opens up their range to like 13 outs against you. You know what I mean? It's a scary board.
Yeah. Oh, okay, you got it. Took me a while to find.
I mean, that is a I'm not messing around raise, especially, you know, because of how it worked out. I mean, he raised pre-flop with kings.
Yeah.
So when I think that's something to be said. I mean, it's fairly ABC poker when if you raise pre-flop and then you check raise the flop. I'd like to generally give you, my first instinct is to give you credit for a pretty solidly strong hand. You know what I mean?
Casey has put in a $125 B straddle.
I love it. Get
So
some,
it's
Casey.
1-3-125 to go.
Yes, welcome to Stone's Live Poker, ladies and gentlemen.
At
Come on
Stones,
down.
you can straddle up to half your stack.
I
So
love it. Casey, you're such a beast. You're my hero.
Big Jake now.
Casey for Prez.
Queen Jack suited is a huge favor over two randoms.
Oh, yeah. And if it's 10 Jack, you basically are all in already.
Jake's gonna limp along. I think I'd rather see him open, but he might be enticing. I mean, and here it is. Okay, that's why Casey was short. That's why. Snap. I think you snap.
Yeah, I mean, you know he's jamming no matter what. Casey's
someone-
just smiling. Casey loves it. I love it.
When a player, and Casey was. There it is, and Jake calls. Jake knows what's
And
going
honestly,
on.
Casey's thinking, man, I hope I have two live ones, right? You know, I mean, come on, as long as you got ace king, ace queen, whatever, you know. Oh, and he
there's
gets
a
the
seven.
Oh, God.
They say once or
Put a
twice.
6
But
on the
they
river
never
to
twice. What's twice?
I don't know. Put a 6 on the river to chop. All right. Wow, Casey, you luck box. He's so stoked. You luck
jeez,
box. And you know what? And Jake, especially after a top set of kings here against T earlier and T hit the straight, Jake is literally laughing, but he's also thinking, dude, how do I run this bad? How do I run this bad right here?
Yeah, no,
I'm running
no joke.
so bad.
1-3-125 to go.
Wow. I mean, I don't even want to write that down. What are you going to do? How are you going to analyze that hand on
that?
crush, right?
Yeah.
He's just like, well, that's what happens when you get lucky.
Casey didn't look. Casey just decided, screw it. I'm short. I'm gonna reload or double up right now.
And you know the cool thing about it is this. So the way Casey did it too is I feel that he almost even possibly got more value. Let's just say Casey says, hey, I'm all in the dark, right? I don't know. It's a little bit more for Jake to call, even though I think that Jake necessarily knows that by doing a live straddle like that with essentially half your stack, you know he's going to get the rest of it in. You know what I mean? So he's going to rip it no matter what.
So, I mean, that makes more sense. I mean, I didn't notice how short Casey was when he put in the 125B straddle. I think that makes a little bit more sense with Jake just calling there. Because he knows that Casey's going to stick it in there. But in case, he runs into, a monster behind him, he can fold. Angry Pollock Stones Live. It's like a low-end strip club. It's just greasy. There's
So is Veronica.
right. Oh God.
Look at Casey's still grinning. He's still got this glowing smile from like, yeah, that's right. I totally nailed those 3 out.
Just
on
rip
you.
300 pre without looking.
I know you have me super locked and dominated, but I got there. Bring it.
Casey's got a lot of problems, but we love him. I mean,
Yeah.
when you put in a $125 straddle and ripping 300. I mean that in I'm generally doing that
Yeah,
in
you know,
an
but you know,
endearing
the thing
way.
about Casey is, I mean
Casey's
obviously
awesome.
we know Casey's a super solid player, super nice guy, but he also just killed it, I think, playing the last few days. So, you know what, dude, at the end of the day, you got a couple $100, you just want to shoot it and see what happens.
Yeah, maybe he
can't fault
was
the
up.
guy.
He came up through like 3K in the Monday.
At least, and that's what we know. I think he played, some more that night and then the next day, yesterday. So, I mean, Casey, he's killing the game right now.
Jake makes it 20 to go with queens.
Batman with 7 deuce, easy muck for him. Honestly, right there, I felt like Jake's posturing was almost just like, how am I gonna run bad here with queens? Who's gonna suck out on me with queens?
So we got some fresh blood dropping in here in seat 6.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You know, Rebecca, man, great player. She just couldn't get anything cruising tonight. You know what I mean? And the couple good hands she did have, I think everybody ended up picking up that she just had a monster. I mean, you had Jake folding 10s against her kings, and I think at that point she's just kind of like, you know, man, if the few hands that I do pick up, if I'm not even going to get paid off on, maybe it's time for me to go check out a different game. You know? Maybe a table where hopefully nobody knows me and they can pay off my hands. Right off the bat, sit down. Welcome to the game.
So our new player in seat 6, first hand opens up 15 under the gun. Jake limped along the 9-6 diamonds. Actually, under the gun, I should say. Under the gun +1. Our new player in seat 6 makes 15 to go. He's going to get calls from Anthony in the hijack. Jeff called right behind him. Still not keeping his cards in the reader. Casey on the button, Queen 5.
10, King 8 rainbow here on the flop. And looks like the best we can see here is actually Mike's pair of 8s right now. Anthony is open-ended. And Jake has a gut shot. Anthony and Jake both have possible runner flush draw potential. That's not going to happen now. Another 10 on the turn pairs the board. Mike with an 8, still the best that we can see here. We have our mystery guy who just sat down here. He might have something fun.
Jake's gonna come along here.
And you see JFK there in the tie. He is our local tournament director and kind of our live stream ambassador here, if you will. And you see our new player sitting there signing his life away. I believe you have to sign away your photo rights, your firstborn child, and give away your entire social security number so we can access your bank account when needed. So come and play. The only thing that's actually, I think, true there is using your likeness. You don't really need to give us the rest of that, but we'd appreciate it.
It's been a good game. Like this, I mean, this gives a lot of players a lot of, I think some perspective of how some of the games, really do actually play here at Stones. I mean, 1-3 kind of plays pretty loose, plays pretty big, and it can be a lot of fun. And you can cut yourself a nice little profit playing some of the. If you don't just got to be playing, 5-5, 5-10. Or the 10-25 streams that we run on here,
yeah.
to make yourself quite a handsome profit. Playing
I think for me, my game of choice here. I mean, even if you can afford, and this is the funny thing is that a lot of times what you'll see is players who are used to a certain limit. Maybe they're just primarily a 2-5 player, will only play 2-5. Right? They're just like, you know what, you don't have 2-5 available, I'll wait, I'll sit, and I'll wait. But even here, a lot of times you get those 2-5 players, these bigger stack players, hopping in these 1-3 games, which is two things. One, it's because they're really juicy, and the other thing is it's a sign, that those are obviously quality games still, even at the lower limits. Quality games, the ability, for a lot of upside potential. Otherwise, they wouldn't play them.
I mean, just look at how deep we are here.
The 1-2 does have a capped buy-in, but I mean, 1-2 is kind of hit or miss. I mean, I've seen some pretty crazy active 1-2 games.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been in 1-2 games where, they say, hey, you know what, your seat's up on the 1-3, do you want to move? And I'm like, no. Not at all. This 1-2 game is crushing it.
Yeah.
So, sometimes you get in a game where you've had a couple players there for a while and they've built up pretty large stacks, and there's a lot of money to be made there.
Yeah, the 1-2 still plays. It's a $200 cap. It's our only cap game here at Stones. But you can still find yourself, good action in those games as well. It's not like, some cap games you're used to seeing like down south. I mean, we've alluded to in a couple of past streams where they're 40, 50 big blind, team caps.
Yeah.
There's still, you can at least still play, 100 bigs deep, which is standard. It's an easy crossover from, for online players that come over that transition to live games.
Yeah.
For that simple reason, and most all your online games, 100 bigs is standard.
I feel like in a lot of other places I've played, the 1-2 game, if it has a $200 cap or something, I feel like a lot of those games that I've seen at other places have just an overly large rank. Everybody's sitting beneath the cap buy-in, and it's just like the only person who's winning is you can't even play the game almost. You know what I mean? Whereas here, I experience the exact opposite of that. I experience lots of upside potential, lots of big stacks, and even at the smaller limits, still a lot of room to grow and improve and gain some chips. Right here, look at this flop for Jake, top 2, and man, I'll tell you what. So, and Batman here has a gut shot against him. Obviously, a guy here in seat 6 with it holding one of his jack outs. But man, I'll tell you, Jake has just been taking some brutal beats, and if Jake just gets smacked with his top 2 pair right here, Jake's gonna have a bad day. He's already kind of taken some pretty nasty baits. Yeah.
So no one's probably gonna be folding diamonds here, and I think Jake can actually get in a pretty sizable check raise here. He might lose a couple Broadway hands, but diamonds should never fold. I mean, after T overcalls, after seat 6 leads, and both Batman and T call, there's reason enough to believe that someone here's got a hand that they can call with. And it might be T.
Yeah, look at the posture. He's smiling. And you know what? Part of that was, obviously T knew he was behind, right? But part of the posturing now was just because he already had that history with sucking out on Jake's top set of kings, and I like it. I like the light needle there. The grab, and Jake's thinking like, great, here it comes. Here's some perfect diamond completion on the turn that also puts the straight out there for Broadway.
Yeah, 10 of diamonds.
Yeah. He's just like, oh, please don't do it.
King Jack 10 of diamonds.
Guys, go ahead and check out our YouTube channel, by the way. So everything is cataloged on Twitch, all of our previous streams for about 60 days or so. And then after that, we push everything, all the content over to YouTube. So you can go back as far as we can make it go back. And you can see all of that on YouTube. And we have that really funky URL, as you can see. But if you subscribe to it, once we hit a certain amount of subscribers, I think it's not too many, probably only need a few more, then we'll actually get our own custom URL. So it'll be a little bit easier to remember, like maybe YouTube/Stones as opposed to like Garbledygook. So definitely subscribe if you haven't already. Plus, go back and watch some of the other streams, man. We have seen some action. Check out some of those 1025 games. The last 1025 game me and Jake did the commentary on, I think there was $40,000 on the table. That is not a small game.
Just thick.
Boom. Deuce 3-6. 2 spades. Casey here with a little gutter ball. And Mike technically in the lead here with 2 overs. 25 bet by T. And Mike is going to make the call. He's going to float T once here, see what happens. 4 on the turn, and whoever just folded King 5 is thinking, like, dang it. 4 card straight, a little scary. Mike's going to check over to T. T's going to check it as well. Going to the river, straight on the board. This seems to be T's MO for the night. Seems to always be these straights on the board or 4 card straights. Just kind of scary.
Check.
I'm going to chop this down.
You have popcorn. I was going to get off. Wait a minute, you bet on the call. I don't care what you have.
Angry Bullock asks Jake, you keep T in the hand. Referring to that last hand that where Big Jake had top 2, I think after seat 6 leads and you get 2 people to call, I think check raising's fine. I think you should expect someone in that hand to have an ace and or diamonds that they can continue with, and I think check raising for value is fine. Yeah, I got no problem with it.
that. We have, I think we're sitting about 9K, give or take. 9K on the table in a 1-3 game. I will take it.
It's a good game.
I mean, yeah, I mean, how many 1-3 games do you see where people just have stacks of 25s? You know, normally 1-3, you're like, okay, you know, the guy's got a couple stacks of red, that's great. We have mountains of 25s at the 1-3 game. We build mountains.
Green's play, I love it.
We build mountains.
Couple limpers and Batman's gonna make it. Looks like 18 to go with 10s.
Uglyback Prince, no, this stream actually runs on a 3-hour chunk here, so we started at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we are going to end it up here in about another 15 minutes, give or take. But if you definitely want some more action, because this didn't quite curb all of your addiction, then go ahead and tune into all of our previous episodes on either the YouTube channel or Twitch.
Ace-7-9, 2 hearts comes down. Mike's got an inside straight draw, the wrong end of it though. Batman's gonna bet.
Yeah. Because he's Batman.
Because he's Batman.
Next time, I'm just going to start referring to him as Bruce Wayne because he doesn't quite have the cape on. Not sure what to think about it.
Just gonna have one open?
Oh, sorry, Pacific Daylight Time now. I was not aware. I've been corrected.
Pacific Standard's not standard?
No, it's not standard. It's not standard. Julian would tell you it's standard. Everything's standard.
Standard.
Speaking of which, I guess Julian was playing a random Pot Limit Omaha game out
Oh,
there
I saw that.
in
Oh my
Vegas,
God.
and all of a sudden he's sitting at the table with Nelly, and Dan Bilzerian is there, and Nelly's like, "Oh yeah, you got me covered," and then Dan just pipes in from nowhere like, "Oh yeah, he's got you covered." And Julian's like,
Julian stacks Nelly.
Julian's like, "What's going on here?" He's like, "I'm playing against Nelly. I got like commentary by Dan right here."
Dan
Like,
Bilzerian, right?
Bilzerian, what's happening?
And I love it. And
is this real life?
I love that Julian stacks Nelly, and it's a must move, so he gets moved, and Dan Bilzerian sits in, and Julian misses out on the opportunity to get some of some blitz money.
Yeah.
So Mike is gonna make it 10 to go, Ace-7 off out of the cutoff. Anthony 3-bet out of the small blind King Queen. Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
He called his mother, got some advice, and that's what he did here. Checks around ace on the turn. Is going to give Mike the absolute check mark here in this hand.
They're interesting there that Anthony 3-betting pre, not following up on the turn. I mean, if you're going to check the flop, fine, but I mean, if you're going to rep something and the ace comes off on the turn, I mean, at the same time, I guess, yeah, if you're worried that that card hits your opponents as well. But I'm a little surprised that Anthony didn't take a more aggressive line on the flop or the turn after he 3-bet out of position at the small blind.
Something going at the end.
Casey's still barreling at it, and I think so. Mike's not in the hand. I checked. Okay, so we're dealing with seat 6 is in the hand. I'm sorry. I was talking the hand through like Mike's got 8-7 here.
Well, seat 6 is Mike.
Oh, that is Mike.
Yeah, it's Mike's
Okay,
fault.
I'm so sorry.
Another Mike,
Okay,
another Mike.
I apologize. Other Mike.
The other
So we
Mike.
have 2 Mikes
The
now.
other Mike, okay, yeah.
Okay.
There
Mike,
we go.
yeah, easy call for Mike.
And he's going to make the call. And Casey basically just Instabox.
Super,
I think he
yeah.
shows it. He's like, yeah. You know what I like about Casey, too, is that I feel like he always just tables his hand. I mean, even if he gets called, I mean, he just tables it and puts it out there. He's not like, good call. He doesn't Instamuck. He doesn't like, try to hide it or something. He just throws it up. And he's like, that's my hand. Whatever. You know what I mean? And a lot of players don't do that. A lot of players just kind of like sit there and wait for the other person to flip over because they know they got called. They know they're beat. You know what I mean?
No, you show. No, you show. No, you
Yeah,
show. Like,
yeah. And it's like, guys, somebody's got to show us some hands here.
If I get called, I'm either just going to pitch him the muck real quick or just roll over my hand.
Yeah,
Either
it's one or, right? You know what I mean? It's one or the other.
And you call me.
Well, because that's you either have the nuts or nothing. That's that's why.
I identify myself in very polarized situations on the river.
Like I said, it's like, how come every time it's either quads or nothing, he always has quads?
Yeah.
I usually find myself in very polarized situations on the river.
So look at this. We got battle of the pairs here. We got 3s, 8s, and 6s, and then Mike P over there with a couple of overs. Let's see how this works out. So Jake with 8s is going to make it 20. Anthony's going to call the 20 with 6s over to Mike, who's definitely going to get it in.
As does Casey.
As does Casey, and Batman's out of there, so we should have a fun little flop here.
Yeah, so there was a $6 straddle. So that explains Jake's sizing here.
Boom. And how does everybody miss that right there? Oh, huge flop for actually Mike B here with ace jack spades, 2 overs, nut flush draw. No set skis for anybody though.
86 in the pot, and Jake's in the lead for 50. If Mike thinks he has any fold equity at all, he can raise. He doesn't, so he's just gonna call.
God, the queen only improves. There we go. There's the nuts for him. And Mike with a monster. Pots at 186. It's going to be really tough to get value out of Jake here with just 8s.
At the same time, you know, like, I mean, Mike knows that that card is getting checked back like every time.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
if he doesn't lead here, then he's got no chance of getting called probably.
Yeah.
And he's really got to think he got to really think of his opponent that's really, really crazy, and willing to take some pretty rational lines after he checks back turn to think that he's gonna bet river there. Unless you think your opponent's got to absolutely air, you know, that he's gonna try to rep spades.
Yeah.
But generally, most of the most time when the pre-flop raiser c-bets the flop and then checks back the turn, they usually, I mean, most players, you know, when a player check calls and then checks the turn again, if a player, you know, most aggressive players are willing to double barrel there in position when someone checks twice. Generally, when they check back, they usually have some type of showdown value, or at least they should have some type of showdown value to check back. So if that's the case, then there's no reason to feel that Jake's gonna, you know, bluff, you know, the spade on the river. He's probably gonna check the card back every time.
Oh, every time. So like your only chance of getting value there is to fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to.
So.
Check.
Ace 5-4, nada. So Jake's gonna spike a 5 here, and it looks like it was check, and we're gonna check it down here. Jake with the best. Flip it over. Take you $21. That happened so quick we couldn't even keep up with the action trackers. Check, boom, boom, boom. Done.
Okay.
Some healthy stack sizes here at the table.
678 giving away free coaching in the chat.
Free coaching is my favorite.
So I'm gonna call you out a little bit, 678. We were supposed to have you come down to commentate on the stream. And then you wiggled your way out of it. I'm just gonna say it.
Wiggled it. Anthony over here waking up with a big old slick.
I'd love to get 678 down here, like trying to analyze some of the play that happens. You know, 6 bottles of wine in on a Veronica and Friends game.
Yeah, oh yeah, good luck with that. A bottle of Carlo Rossi and a boxed wine of Franzia. Let's make it a party. And Anthony's gonna raise it up here. Mike originally, I believe, had a $10 straddle here. I believe he's gonna make the call. 6-6 deuce. Obviously, this is most likely gonna miss Anthony's range just about every time. Mike checks it over to Anthony. Pot's at $64. Anthony is gonna make it 40. Look at this. Oh, crafty, sneaky. All right, so Mike's gonna
check
call.
Calls 8 tray.
Check calls. Now a diamond out there. This does complete possible diamonds. Jack of diamonds on the turn.
If Mike's floating there out of
Oh, look
position.
at this. No, he's floating, and then so he checks at the turn. Anthony checks behind him. Now the river, he's trying to represent that he called it a 6 and he had it.
I think Mike's plan maybe was to check raise bluff turn, which is a super strong line.
Yeah.
I think the only problem is, your opponent's going to check back the diamond. A lot as it is after it checks
Exactly.
back.
So you can represent diamond. You can represent having a 6. I think it's a little bit easier to almost rep a diamond, but either way, Anthony, there's 2 big things that beat Anthony, so he's going to lay it down. So Mike's going to take this down here.
Show it. Oh,
It's
he
good for
shows
the game.
the
Show the
sickness.
bluff. That's what I hear. Is show the bluff. It's good for the game.
Oh, what a sicko! I love it.
He's like, look, I feel like that was. Come on, guys.
Wait, there's a seat open to his left. Hold on.
He just better win. Right in between him and Anthony. Get over there right now.
We're trying to see if
There it is. Are they still there? Get in there. He's still at the table. Get in.
Oh man.
But you know what happens if you go over there? The one hand you think he's totally full of air. He's just like the one hand you think he's totally full of air. You're like, oh, I'm gonna snap. I'm gonna get him right here, and then he's just like quads. I have quads. And the sick part is I think there was a split second there where Anthony was definitely thinking about just looking him up with Ace King High for sure. But I think it was the inclusion of the diamonds also that got there and the way the hand played out. But Anthony, like, it wasn't exactly an insta-fold for him. I think he could have possibly looked him up there.
I'll tell you what, Anthony's probably definitely going to be more, after Mike in C6 shows the 8 tray there, Anthony's going to be definitely more inclined to be calling some rivers now with Ace High.
And that's the thing is Mike's laying out some great advertisement for himself. You know what I mean? He's like, I'm in advertising for myself and my hands. All right, 5-6 queen here, rainbow. Gosh, really not a whole lot going on with these hands. Mike P actually with the best here with the pair of queens.
Brendan Cal asks, do you think he didn't barrel there on the turn because it was a diamond, Jack Spades, club hearts, if he's barreling? No. I actually think he looked at Mike floated there with the 8-3 with the intention blocking, so I think the diamond coming off is a great hand to barrel. And he said, if I was before there, I might have probably thought about leading there, but Mike went for the super aggressive line to check raise the turn, which I'm assuming he said. He's not like floating the 8-3 with a chance that he thinks he can catch an 8 or 3 and it'll be good, even though an 8 or 3 was very live. I think he's definitely doing it to try to take the hand away from Anthony on a later street, and I think his intention definitely was to check raise the turn had he been given the opportunity to. After Anthony checks back, Mike goes for it. It works.
Ooh, 6, 7, 8 said he'll PM you. Hope it's a dirty PM. So guys, we're getting down to the end of this stream here for this evening. Probably a few hands left. Make sure you go ahead and click that subscribe button there so you can catch us next time. I believe our next stream is on Monday, something like that.
Yeah, Monday. So. We're on for 5-5 on Monday.
Absolutely. 5-5 is always fun because it's always like a 5-5-25 game.
Yeah, it's real.
Yeah, that will be my last stream for a couple weeks actually. I'm going on quite the little tour around the country, so.
Oh wow, good for you.
Yeah, so I will see you guys back here. Give this booth a break. Let some other commentators hop in here for a minute.
Mike P makes it 15 to go. Under the gun. Casey makes a call. Batman ace jack off out of the hijack. Puts in a 3-bet, makes it 40 to go. Action back on Mike P. I think if Batman's suited, I think flatting's fine. Ace jack off. I think 3-betting is actually better than flatting there.
Boom. 4, queen 8, 2 spades here. Casey with the best hand here spikes a 4. And boom, jack on the turn. Not anymore. Let's flip that script. Batman here with the best of it. But this also opens up a
Broadway and flush draw.
Yeah, Mike P. That opens up a world of outs here for Mike in first position. He's going to check. And let's see what Casey's going to do here. Let's see if anybody wants to represent the flush like they already got it. Casey checks as well.
Batman hits the jack. And in a pot of 124, Batman's going to bet 85. Mike makes a call with his Broadway and flush combo, or Broadway and flush draw.
Oh, and he gets there.
Disco!
Disco from Mikey. So he's got the, what I like to affectionately call the nut no flush. And so he makes Broadway. Now he's basically just trying to figure out if he wants to fire out or if he's fighting right into a flush. He clearly doesn't put Batman on a flush here.
Well, I think Batman, if Batman had 3-bet pre-flop with spades and then flop the spade draw with no, I think you're definitely c-betting all your spade draws with no showdown value. So I think leading here, Mike's gonna feel real safe.
It's like, was it 225 or no? What is that?
And after Batman checks back, flop, and then bets the turn, he should have something he can call with.
Oh man, you knew, but welcome to the chat.
Copy, Bob.
All right, guys, we are cruising now into the last hand of the evening here. Oh, look at that. And we just got another new face there next to Anthony.
He's in my seat.
He's in your seat. That was my seat. We're supposed to be there.
They need to do 2 more hands.
Oh man, you noob. Welcome to the chat. Did I already say that? I might have. Jonas Steele.
I think JFK's there. He's just getting some camera time. He's like, guys, can I stand right in the middle of all the camera shots so I can just get panned around, please? Good old Mickey there in the dealer box. Action dealer.
Big Jake makes it 15 to go. Queen 8 of diamonds out of the cutoff. Mike calls on the button. King 9 off. And Jeff in the small blind.
Makes it 30.
30 with kings. Clicks back.
And he put on the glasses. It's getting real.
It's going to price both players in.
Where's Queen, Queen, King on the flop when you need it?
Mike gets out of the way. Jake calls.
Boom. 10, 9, 3, 2 spades. Does actually gives Jake a little gutter ball here, but Jeff's King still in the lead by a mile.
It's like 35 from Jeff.
And Jake's checking out. He says, I don't think so. He says, you know, when I have monsters I get sucked out on, I don't want to actually draw. I don't want to draw to some what?
No.
Oh, I thought I was like, well, what happened?
No. So I mean, I'm glad that we got Jeff back on the stream. I felt really bad. I mean, it's the first time on the stream before he ran really dirty, and I didn't get stacked this time, so that's improvement.
Yeah.
I picked up kings there in the last hand. Yeah, 1-3 plays so good here.
I know. 1-3 is like it's like my drug of choice here, and I go somewhere else, and I'm like, oh, I normally play 1-3, and everywhere else it like sucks.
Yeah.
So I
and
like
then
coming
you're
here.
like, you know, Stones it plays like 2-5, and
yeah, this is a 1-3.
It plays like a really good game.
Yeah.
So we'll be back on Monday, 5-5, and yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. Thanks to our team in the back, Bob, Kenny, Abraham,
The whole
Andrew,
crew. Yeah.
Justin, all the best.
Pound it. Let's do this again on Monday. What do you think?
Yeah, solid.
Boom.
All right, guys. Good night.
Have a good night, guys.